Mechanical, they have a $69 winter maintenance check. That's right, only $69 through the end of November. Take advantage of that by going to dasmechanical.org. That's D as in dog, A, S as in Sam, mechanical.org. You can schedule everything online and make sure you look at their 5-star reviews and their numerous Best of the Best awards. Homeowners, business for commercial maintenance, it's all there for you. DAS Mechanical. That's dasmechanical.org. Take advantage of that $69 special now.
At Downtown Ford Sacramento, we're proud of our long heritage. We've consistently provided Ford cars and trucks to families and businesses in this region for over 100 years. If we think about it, practically every kid who grew up in this town at one time or another rode around in a Ford that we sold to their family. We've served multiple generations of local farmers and ranchers who got their rugged Ford trucks from us. We've also provided many of the emergency vehicles that you see out doing the people's work every day on the streets. All of us at Downtown Ford, from our top-notch service department who keep your Ford running like new, to our dedicated finance team and the guys and gals in our showroom, we thank you for generations of love and loyalty to us. And for that love, we say right back at you. We're doing Fords just like we always have. Come see us any day of the week or visit us online at downtownfordsacramento.com.
Cameron, I just think we need to, see other people.
Are you trading me in?
No. A trade-in is what I'm getting from Kitchen Mart.
A trade-in.
Right now, Kitchen Mart's offering a $750 credit when you trade in your old kitchen countertops for something worth showing off, like granite, marble, or solid surface.
I'm not worth showing off?
Not like the stunning new quartz countertops Kitchen Mart just installed for Karen and Tom.
Huh.
Durable, easy cleanup, made their kitchen look brand new. And Kitchen Mart gave them a $750 trade-in credit to haul off their ugly old tile and grout countertop.
You're dumping me.
That's harsh. You want me to wait till I get the new countertops from Kitchen Mart?
At least hold off to Wednesday. I'm seeing Susan.
Susan!
Now's the perfect time to trade up to beautiful new quartz, granite, marble, or solid surface countertops. Because for a limited time, Kitchen Mart's offering a $750 trade-in credit for your old countertops. Go to kitchenmart.com today and schedule a free in-home consultation and save $750 off new countertops.
No one does it better than kitchenmart.com.
Grant's back. Join the conversation every weekday afternoon beginning at 3 p.m. KSAC 890 AM Olivehurst, K284CM 104.7 FM Sacramento.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Grant's back, and here to win. It's the Grant Napear Show on Fox Sports Radio Sacramento. Now, Grant Napear.
144 to 117. Are you freaking kidding me? You, the Sacramento Kings fan, deserves so much better. And yeah, you can't judge an entire season on 10 games. But this Kings season is spiraling out of control, and it is very close to being completely out of control. And yet you give up 144 points, even in your most impressive win of the season at Milwaukee last week. You gave up 133 points. And after the game, all I hear about from the head coach is defense, defense, defense. Are you freaking kidding me or what? Now, I want to talk about the players. They're really good with the media. I applaud the Sacramento Kings players because I do think they do a really good job with the media. And I've always taken what players say with a grain of salt because they answer questions and they're not going to say, yeah, we suck and we are bad defensively and we'll never be good. Like, I get it. I understand what players say. And I kind of read through the tea leaves, so to speak. I kind of like look at what's going on and what I'm hearing. But the coach is different, okay? Like when the coach speaks, it's different to me than when the players speak because the coach can control who plays and who doesn't play. I mean, it's really that simple, okay? If the coach wants a certain style of play, then it's up to him to obtain that, and he needs to do that by having a combination of players that can achieve that goal if possible. Here's what Doug Christie said in part after the embarrassing loss last night at Golden One Center. You don't see it because your players know they're not capable of playing defense. Your players don't want to play defense because they know they're not good at defense. They understand it's not obtainable. And the only way that they are going to win is by outscoring the other team the way you outscored Milwaukee, 135 to 133. All right? And if you want to really achieve defense, then you need to put your best defensive players on the floor. And instead of winning a game 135 to 133, try to go out and win a game 103 to 102 or 103 to 101 with players that, in your mind, want to compete and want to play defense. Those players are few and far between on the Sacramento Kings. But when Keegan Murray comes back, he'd be one of the players. Keon Ellis would be certainly one of the players, okay? I mean, you would probably still have Dennis Schroeder because I'm only looking at the players that are available. But, I mean, he has been a huge disappointment. And at least Dennis Schroeder's accountable when he's asked about it. He says, hey, I got to do better. It starts with me. I mean, I appreciate that. But the bottom line is, through 10 games, Dennis Schroeder has been a huge disappointment for the Sacramento Kings. He's played what? Well, in 2 games? A veteran point guard? You know, and after the game last night, I watched an interview that he did with Sean Cunningham of KCRA talking about he's not comfortable. Not comfortable? I mean, you had a whole training camp. You've had 10 games. What's it going to take for you to get comfortable? You know what that means to me, translation? The pieces around me don't work. That's what that means to me, okay? If you're Doug Christie and you really want to talk about defense, then you can't have DeMar DeRozan on the floor. I mean, let's just call it the way it is. All right, if you really are going to talk about defense, then he needs to come off the floor. I also think that as good as Zach LaVine has been this year, I mean, his defense is still limited. And I understand he's competing, and I appreciate that, but it is what it is. All right? Sabonis is not a good defensive player. If you really feel that way, and again, if you really feel that way, you would start Eubanks. I mean, I know that's not realistic, but I mean, you can't say one thing as a head coach and do something else. I've been hearing the same nonsense since day one of training camp. I mean, I hear it over and over and over again, and the one guy that's got the keys to the car, the coach, keeps putting a lineup out there that can't play defense. So what is it? Okay? Are you really hoping that these players can do something they're not capable of? I mean, we knew this wasn't a great roster when the season began in the sense that the pieces fit or didn't fit. I mean, you might have some very talented players. We understand that. But the pieces don't fit. I've been saying that for a long time. It's like a jigsaw puzzle that you try to put together, and you try and try, and then you realize that, one of the pieces is got to, it's deformed and it doesn't fit, right? Like, and you drives you crazy because when the puzzle was manufactured, they made a mistake. I mean, the Kings don't fit. We know that. And I've been saying this, and I said this after the Kings lost to Dallas in the play-in game. It was so apparent that Doug Christie was thoroughly outcoached in that game. And we talked about it on our post-game show or on YouTube for days and days. I mean, it was apparent. And I made the comment after they let go of Monty McNair on the same night that the Kings lost to Dallas. And Sham Sharani of ESPN was the first one to report everything that was going on, and that Scott Perry was being talked to and was going to be the new GM. And I told you. I already told you. Of course, that Vivek Ranadive, who's a bad owner, was going to retain Doug Christie. And here's what I said then, and I'm going to say it again now. Had Doug Christie not been retained after the Dallas loss, he wouldn't have received an interview from any team in the NBA to be their head coach. That's the reality of the situation. Now, does that mean he could never become a head coach? No, it doesn't mean that. It just means that the Kings hired a coach that really is not ready to be a head coach. I'm sorry, he's not. Okay, and I understand he's been dealing with a lot of makeshift lineups due to injuries, and I get that. Okay, but Doug always talks about, competing and fighting and all of that. You don't have to be talented to compete and fight, not fist fight. You understand what I'm talking about in a basketball sense. All right, competing, you can compete when you're not as talented. I mean, I've seen the LA Lakers compete this year at a very high level without their very best players. I saw them come into Sacramento and compete without their best players. I watched it. You watched it. I've watched them compete against other teams without their very best players. I watched them go up and beat Portland without LeBron and without Reeves and without Luka. I watched it. I've watched them compete. Where's the Sacramento Kings competing? It's a joke, and you deserve so much better. You've got an ownership problem. You've got a roster that doesn't fit, and you've got a coach that's not an NBA-ready coach. That's the reality of the situation. And then you want to talk about defense. Where's Keon Ellis? Jerry Reynolds, who I probably respect more than anyone. Not probably, I do. I respect Jerry more than anyone in this community when it comes to his basketball acumen, his knowledge. He's not right all the time, but Jerry knows the game of basketball. He's been watching it for a long time. He's been a general manager. He's been a coach. He was my longtime broadcaster. I learned a lot from Jerry. He's a really good evaluator of talent. Not right all the time. He's made mistakes on guys. He said that Keon Ellis needs to be playing 30 minutes a game. He doesn't understand it either. Doug Christie was asked last night after the game, what's the deal with Keon Ellis? Nonsense. What a bunch of nonsense. Need to figure it out. You're going to play defense, and you're not going to have a guy that is arguably your best or one of your best defensive players. It's not better than Keegan Murray. But the point is, like, you can't say that and not have Keegan Murray, or can't have Keon Ellis, all right, on the bench in two embarrassing defensive performances while I watch Dennis Schroeder have the guy go by him like he's glued to the floor, who can't put the ball in the freaking ocean if he's standing on the bow of a cruise ship, okay? Play 28 minutes, and Keon Ellis is playing 12 minutes and doesn't enter the game until they're already down 30 in the fourth quarter. Figure it out. You're the coach. What do you mean, figure it out? You want to talk about you're going to play defense and you're going to have a standard, and you have two areas of your team right now that are not very good: three-point shooting and defense. What does Keon Ellis do very well? Well, he shoots the ball very well from deep, and he's one of your best defensive players. Numbers game? Nonsense. It's a coaching decision game, not a numbers game. You're the coach. If you're going to talk about you're going to play to a certain standard, then you need to yank players off the floor that aren't playing to that standard. Plain and simple, okay? You can't say one thing and do another. You just can't. So if you're going to talk the talk, okay, back it up. Back it up. Don't go on in front of the microphone and tell everyone what the standard's going to be and that you need to figure it out, and you will figure it out, and then you have Keon Ellis sitting on the floor. And you got the fans chanting, "We want Keon. We want Keon." The fans aren't stupid. Jerry Reynolds certainly knows a lot about basketball, and if Jerry tells us that he thinks Keon should be playing 30 minutes a game, that resonates with me. And I've watched Keon play a lot. You've watched Keon play a lot. I'm not making him out to be Michael Jordan. I'm not making him out to be an all-star. I'm not making him out to be one of the great players in the NBA. But here's what I am saying. If you're the coach and you keep talking about defense, 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 and you don't have one of your best defensive players on the floor, then what you're saying doesn't make any sense. Period. And you're the coach. And we get the speculation, well, he's not coaching a team, that it's coming from upper management and ownership. Nonsense. This is your only chance to be a head coach. It's not going to happen again. Okay? It's going to last as long as it does in Sacramento, and then you're not going to be a head coach anymore. Coach the team the way you want to coach it. You're the man that makes the decisions. You're the head coach. Okay? It falls on your shoulders. You can't talk about a certain standard. You can't talk about we're going to play defense and then give up 144 points and have one of your very best defensive players not be a part of it. You just can't. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't add up. You can't have it both ways. You can't tell everyone what you're going to do and then not do it. You can't talk about a standard of play and then let players continue to perform that aren't achieving the standard that you want when you have a bench of players that can do things better than others on the floor. Doesn't make sense. Plain and simple. Is it frustrating? Yeah, it's frustrating. Is the season over? No, the season is not over. You're 3-7. There are a lot of games left. There are 72 games left. But you got Denver coming in tomorrow. Then you're playing 3 games in 4 nights against Atlanta. And then you go on a tough road trip. And as Jerry said again last night, and he's repeated this, and he's right, the Kings are an old team. And you know what? You know when it's okay to have an old team? It's okay to have an old team when you're winning. But when you're losing, then it's not good. And he talked about, at that point, you need to go and make a big shift and change your direction. We're not there yet. And Jerry made that very clear. What is the direction of this team? What's the goal of this team? Really? Like, where are we heading here? Seriously. It makes no sense. A certain standard, you got players on the floor that aren't capable of playing to that standard. And yet you keep playing them minutes, big minutes. You're the coach. Take them out of the game. Drives me crazy. And again, the players can say whatever they want. They have to talk to the media. And they do a really good job of it in Sacramento, and I applaud them. But they're not going to tell you what's really going on. You know what tells me, you know what's going on? My eyes tell me what's going on. And my eyes tell me that they know, and you know as fans, that this team is not capable of playing defense. They're not stupid. They're veterans. They've been around. They understand it's not going to happen. They know they're an offensive team. That's what they are. 135, 133, the win on the road at Milwaukee. Offense. That's what it is. And until this team acquires better defensive players, or Doug decides to play his better defensive players, you're going to have the same result. And people think, well, gee, when Keegan Murray comes back, and hopefully it's sooner rather than later, that everything's just going to be hunky-dory. No, it's not. He will help your defense, but, it's not like he's going to change everything. It's just he's not going to be able to affect the dribble penetration that continually happens against the Sacramento guards, whether it's Schroeder or Westbrook or Levine the Kings can't keep anybody in front of them. Their rotations are late. It's like a shooting gallery out there from downtown. Game after game after game after game after game. Seriously, every single game, we're pretty much talking about the same thing. Coaches, they are the ones. The coach. The coach determines who plays and who doesn't play. You give up 120 in the opener. You give up 104 to the Jazz. You give up 127 to the Lakers, 107 to the Thunder, 126 to the Bulls, 133 to the Bucks, 130 to the Nuggets, 116 to the Warriors, 132 to the Thunder, and you give up 144 last night. How's that for you? Make them feel us. Make them feel us. What a bunch of nonsense that is. 916-779-0929. Your phone calls next, right here on the Grant Napear Show, Fox Sports Sacramento.
Cameron, I just think we need to, see other people.
Are you trading me in?
No. A trade-in is what I'm getting from Kitchen Mart.
A trade-in?
Right now, Kitchen Mart's offering a $750 credit when you trade in your old kitchen countertops for something worth showing off, like granite, marble, or solid surface.
I'm not worth showing off?
Not like the stunning new quartz countertops Kitchen Mart just installed for Karen and Tom.
Huh.
Durable, easy cleanup, made their kitchen look brand new. And Kitchen Mart gave them a $750 trade-in credit to haul off their ugly old tile and grout countertop.
You're dumping me.
That's harsh. You want me to wait till I get the new countertops from Kitchen Mart?
At least hold off to Wednesday. I'm seeing Susan.
Susan!
Now's the perfect time to trade up to beautiful new quartz, granite, marble, or solid surface countertops. Because for a limited time, Kitchen Mart's offering a $750 trade-in credit for your old countertops. Go to kitchenmart.com today and schedule a free in-home consultation and save $750 off new countertops.
No one does it better than KitchenMart.com.
For nearly all of us, our home is our biggest investment. And just as important as what it looks like on the outside is what is happening on the inside. How long has it been since you had your home's electrical integrity checked? Whether your home is 10 or more years old or even a newer build, the safe rule of thumb is to get the electrical inspected at least every 5 years. At Gabroods, electrical work is all we do. We're the area's recognized experts. Panel replacements, whole house fans, generators, solar, and more. But home inspections are what we do most often. Whether you have a difficult electrical situation or it's just time to ensure your home and family are safe, call locally owned Gabroods for our thorough 12-point expert inspection. Gabroods, serving our Northern California neighbors for more than 30 years. Gabroods, G-U-B-R-U-D-S.
Call the good dudes at Gabroods, G-U-B-R-U-D-S, Gabroods.com.
Hey, it's Grant Napear, and I want to talk to you about DAS Mechanical. You've heard me talk about the $69 winter furnace special tune-up going on right now. That's right, $69 through the end of November. Well, are you considering renovating and maybe retrofitting your home in 2026? How about planning ahead? Yeah, start thinking about it now. Nick Delancey, their owner, who I met 2 months ago, awesome. His family has years of retrofitting experience. His crews are specialists for residential and commercial properties. Make the contact now at dasmechanical.org and plan ahead. Get an expert estimate and get ready to roll with DAS Mechanical. dasmechanical.org. Be sure and check out their numerous 5-star reviews and many, many best of the best awards. DASmechanical.org. D is in dog, A, S is in Sam, mechanical.org. They are awesome. Book online now. All right, we got a lot of phone calls to get to. 916-779-0929. Why don't we start off the show with Dorian? You'll be my leadoff man here on a Monday. The football story is also ahead, but right now we're going basketball. What's going on, Dorian?
What's up, Grant? What's up, Rhino? Man, I share your frustration, Grant. I mean, after, I've been a lifelong Kings fan, and after 16 years of losing seasons, I've trained myself to not get too high on the highs and not get too low on the lows. Like, but it's frustrating when you have a player like Keon Ellis, when the fans clearly understand and know that he needs to be on the court playing 30-plus minutes a night as one of your top defensive players, and you have Coach Christie, basically saying we want this team to be a defensive team. How are you not playing Keon Ellis more minutes when that's what you want out of your team? I don't understand that.
Nobody understands it.
And if you don't see a future with Keon Ellis, I don't understand why you didn't trade him for Kuminga, or he's just sitting on your bench rotting, like doing nothing. I don't understand. There's no way that Keon Ellis is going to re-sign with the Sacramento Kings after the season if he doesn't end up being traded by the deadline or however that works. Like, there's no way that I called 2 months ago and said, this is not going to end up very good for Coach Christie. One, like you said, he's probably a great player development coach. He's probably a great operations coach. He's really good with the young guys. But I'm really, really perplexed at his decision making, because he's preaching that he wants his players to have actions. His actions speak louder than words. He wants them to be defensive players, but his actions as a coach, he needs to take his own advice. Like, how is Dennis Schroeder playing 30-plus minutes a night? I mean, this man went 1 for 6 last night. He went 0 for 10 against the Thunder, and he shot 17 times against the Warriors. Like, there's no reason why Dennis Schroeder needs to be shooting 17 times a game, and there's no reason why Keon Ellis needs to be on the bench. Like, that I don't understand what is going on with decision making. The Kings are 3-7. Obviously, the season isn't over, but there's no way like that. Why I don't understand how Christie is making these decisions.
You're not alone. A lot of fans, and here's the other sad part about this. Doug loves Sacramento. Doug loves the Kings. I know Doug better than anyone listening to the show right now. Okay, I was around him for years on a daily basis, in all kinds of settings, dinner, golf, in a studio with just me and him. I know Doug very, very well. Like, no one can ever question his loyalty to the community and the team. But here's the other aspect. This is tarnishing Doug Christie's legacy in Sacramento the same way Vlade Divac went through, his tenure as general manager. Vlade was the most beloved King. Everyone loved Vlade, and I think most people still do love Vlade, but there are those that still hold it over him that he didn't draft Luka and that the Kings weren't very good and they never obtained this or that when he was general manager, and we can go on and on, right? Well, the same thing's happening to Doug, and I don't like to see that because, Doug does love the community. I know that, you know that, but here's the deal, okay? Fans are fans, and that is only going to last so long, and it's starting to really, I'm seeing the tide really turn on, chat forums, my social media messages, here on the show. It's changing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. I see it on the comments. I see it on Kings fan pages. I see it on your comments on, when you do your podcast. Like, fans are starting to change their perspective on Coach Christie. And, Coach Christie bleeds purple, just like Bobby Jackson does. Like, these are beloved players of these are Kings legends, man. And I hate to see Doug, go through this right now. I'm sure he sees it too, but man, like, to be 3-7 and, you're only hurting your own legacy by making these decisions. I mean, free Keon, man. He needs to be playing more. If not, man, I wish him the best, and I hope he does well.
Thank you, buddy.
Thanks, Grant.
All right, thank you. Let's get to some more phone calls. Why don't we move on to Andre? Andre, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, what's up, Grant? How are you doing today?
Okay, Andre, thanks for hanging on.
Okay, yeah. So I want to say, as far as Doug Christie, it's just very frustrating. Year after year, our defense is continuing to struggle, and it's getting worse this season. Obviously, way more than it did last season.
Yeah, and they keep on talking about no Keegan Murray, but every team that the Kings have played this year, I think with the exception of one, has had a key player out of the lineup. And will he help? Yes, he will help. But at some point, you can't get blown out the way you got blown out last night, because that just to me looked like no effort. And defense is a lot of effort, and that's a really bad visual this early in the season.
Yeah, and I expect this to go north. I mean, south, as far as it could go south, then it is north, because this is just going to go all the way to the wrong direction, then the right direction. And I expect this team to make big changes with Scott Perry, like just blowing it up at some point.
Thank you, Andre. Appreciate you calling the show. Have yourself a good one. Let's move to Bob in Citrus Heights. Bob, you're next here on the Grant Napear Show.
Yeah, I am chomping at the bit. You had fun in the first 20 minutes talking about the Kings today. I want to have some of that fun too. I consider you and Jerry to be the two premier experts of the Sacramento Kings. You've been through it all. And I don't know. I have no idea what the direction the Kings are going. I don't know if they're going to slowly just become, at best, mediocre and then drift into letting players go, or are they going to actually try to do something this year? It doesn't appear this year, but not over. Scott Perry, I don't know much about him. I know he's been around. I don't see where he has done one thing to improve the Kings since he took over. We had a great bench of big guys, Vasconcelos and Lyles. I was so happy when they got Vasconcelos. I thought he's just, I can't pronounce that. But anyway,
that's right. You just like Jerry.
Yeah, I know. But I just, I felt that they had the best second string center in the league when they picked him up.
Well, I agreed about Valanciunas, but the reality is Scott Perry looks like he did well in the draft, so I got to give him credit there. The Dennis Schroeder signing looks to me like a disaster right now, but, I'm going to give it more than 10 games before I make that bold of a prediction.
And if we had Trey Lyles.
Yeah, Trey Lyles I don't have a problem with. He wasn't playing well, Bob.
Yeah, but he was injured last year.
Yeah, but he's not going to make a difference in whether you win or lose, so I'm okay with that. The bottom line is this roster is not very good, and Scott Perry didn't do enough in the offseason. I would concur with you on that.
Yes. Of course, I don't know. We have not had a true power forward since Harrison Barnes. Now, I don't know if we're ever going to, but I've heard so many names, Cam Johnson, Kuzma, Marketing. Of course, he'd be pretty hard to get, but still could be done. And they have been trying to get one of these guys for several years. And I don't know if they're ever close or not, but they don't seem to do a little bit more to sweeten the pot and get one. And they could sure use one. And when Murray comes back, he's a little small for a power forward.
He'll help him on the floor. Bob, I really appreciate you taking time to join the show today.
Okay, one quick thing. It's like we're playing poker and we want all aces, and the aces are going to be the guards. We got 10 of them to play. I don't know what. And Ellis is getting shortchanged.
Yep. Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it. Take care. Here's the other thing. If I'm Keon Ellis, I'm already on the phone with my agent going, get me out of here. I mean, seriously. I mean, can you imagine what Keon Ellis is thinking? Can you imagine that? Seriously, can you imagine what Keon Ellis is thinking? He can't be very happy. And I would think that most players aren't happy when they feel they should be playing and aren't. But in his situation, it's different because he's already proven time and time again that when he plays, normally, not always, good things happen. Okay? I mean, I don't understand it. No one understands it. The fans don't understand it. Jerry Reynolds didn't understand it and doesn't understand it. I don't understand it. Rhino, let me ask you. You were at the game last night. You were at the post-game press conference. You've been at every home game. You've been at a lot of practices. Do you understand why Keon Ellis is not playing?
No, I do not. It doesn't, in Keon's words, it doesn't make any sense, Grant. If this team's about defense, it's about defense playing together as a team. That is what Keon is. So it's really baffling. I mean, Sacramento to be chanting in the third quarter, and by the way, it was almost as loud as it had been all game when Keon Ellis came into the game, and I posted it on my social, and we've gotten like 30-some thousand views. That's how much Sacramento realizes Keon Ellis needs to be on the floor. And not, as you said, for just a few minutes. It's got to be 20, 30 minutes, as Jerry said, because that's when he wears on you.
Here's one from the 209. This says it all. I have tickets for tomorrow's game. My son doesn't want to go. He's 8 years old. He'd rather stay home and play video games. That's how bad it is. When I was his age, I would be ecstatic when my dad got tickets. It's bad, Grant, and I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. Us Kings fans don't deserve this. Tell your son that he's going to see one of the great basketball players of the generation that we're currently in Nikola Jokic, and that he'll always be able to tell his kids someday that he saw one of the great players of this century play. So tell him that. Tell him he's going to see a player that is great in Nikola Jokic. And you can also tell him he's going to see a player that's a first ballot Hall of Famer, soon to be, in Russell Westbrook. So you can go that direction. I'm with you. I can't imagine being 8 years old and not wanting to go to a game. I never said I don't want to go to a game. Never. Never. Give me a call. We got the show started off well. 916-779-0929. That's 916-779-0929. When we come back, I want you to listen to Domantas Sabonis after the game. That's a wow. That's coming up next right here on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Fox Sports Traffic, taking our first look at the roadways for this Monday afternoon. Starting to get a little bit busier on US 50 in between Howe Avenue and the I-5 interchange. Give yourself a couple of extra minutes to work your way through theirs. Cap City Freeway in between Arden Way and US 50. Also starting to see some heavy rush hour delays starting to form. But the good news is no reported accidents on the major thoroughfares throughout Sacramento. With twice an hour traffic, I'm Andy Bass for Fox Sports Sacramento.
The NBA season's rolling, and DraftKings' newest game, Pick 6, is the easiest way to play for your shot at big wins. NBA stars are lighting it up. Now their numbers aren't just highlights. They're your shot to cash in. Here's how it works. Just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats. The better your picks, the bigger your payout. New DraftKings customers get $50 in Pick 6 credits with just a $5 entry on your first pick set. Don't just watch basketball. Pick, play, cash in. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code KSAC. That's code KSAC. Play just $5 and get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Make the call. Ride the upside in partnership with DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Ends December 2nd at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
For nearly all of us, our home is our biggest investment. And just as important as what it looks like on the outside is what is happening on the inside. How long has it been since you had your home's electrical integrity checked? Whether your home is 10 or more years old or even a newer build, the safe rule of thumb is to get the electrical inspected at least every 5 years. At Gabroods, electrical work is all we do. We're the area's recognized experts. Panel replacements, whole house fans, generators, solar, and more. But home inspections are what we do most often. Whether you have a difficult electrical situation or it's just time to ensure your home and family are safe, call locally owned Gabroods for our thorough 12-point expert inspection. Gabroods, serving our Northern California neighbors for more than 30 years. Gabroods, G-U-B-R-U-D-S.
Call the good dudes at Gabroods, G-U-B-R-U-D-S, Gabroods.com.
At Downtown Ford Sacramento, we're proud of our long heritage. We've consistently provided Ford cars and trucks to families and businesses in this region for over 100 years. If we think about it, practically every kid who grew up in this town at one time or another rode around in a Ford that we sold to their family. We've served multiple generations of local farmers and ranchers who got their rugged Ford trucks from us. We've also provided many of the emergency vehicles that you see out doing the people's work every day on the streets. All of us at Downtown Ford, from our top-notch service department who keep your Ford running like new, to our dedicated finance team and the guys and gals in our showroom, we thank you for generations of love and loyalty to us. And for that love, we say right back at you. We're doing Fords just like we always have. Come see us any day of the week or visit us online at downtownfordsacramento.com.
Looking for the ultimate night out? Welcome to HQ Showgirls, Sacramento's premier adult gentlemen's club. We're the only topless club between Reno and San Francisco serving alcohol, beer, wine, and champagne. All inside over 6,000 square feet of pure excitement. Planning a party or a VIP night? Call our VIP manager now at 916-389-0199 to book your table. Come experience the energy at HQ Showgirls, 851 Richards Boulevard, Sacramento. Open 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. Sunday through Thursday and until 4 a.m. Friday and Saturday. Visit hqnightclub.com, where the night begins and never stops.
916-779-0929. Give me a call or use that to text the show from the 619. I'll take the 8-year-old tickets and fly up to Sacktown tomorrow to see Jokic. Somebody said would be a shame if Jokic didn't play due to rest. He won't be rested tomorrow because they have 3 full days off before they're playing tomorrow. So rest is not going to be an issue. You're going to get a very well-rested Denver Nuggets team. And then, of course, after tomorrow, the Kings have a quick turnaround against the Atlanta Hawks before they hit the road against the T-Wolves. So, after the game, it was a very dejected Sabonis. I didn't understand why Sabonis is on the floor in the fourth quarter, playing with the injuries that he's playing with in a game that was well decided. Well, the game was over entering the fourth quarter. Why is he playing? That made no sense. But he was asked about the defensive deficiencies. Yeah, I mean, it is impossible. Just especially when you're playing a good team. And Minnesota, to me, is a good team. I don't know if they're championship quality, but especially when you don't have Murray, you have no one down low. Gobert was toying with the Kings. Randall was scoring whenever he wanted to. The T-Wolves were dunking on the Kings' heads. There's no shot blocker back there. It's just, and here's the other thing. The Kings' recognition offensively, trying to take the ball to the basket against Gobert. I mean, come on. You're not going to do that. And then Sabonis was then asked about, the rest of the guys, the locker room, et cetera. Here's what he had to say about that. Yeah, there's not much you can say. That says it all. I think that just says it all. There's not much I can say. There's not much anyone can say. There's just not. It's a poorly constructed roster and a coach that is right now appearing to have no rhyme or reason for what's going on. And he just keeps on harping on defense, 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 and yet won't make the changes to defensive-oriented players. I do not understand that. I really don't. I don't get it. I really don't. 916-779-0929. And I talked about this in the last segment, and I'm going to repeat it. Like, it's really too bad because the fans are starting to turn on Doug based on all of the comments that I'm seeing on chat forums and social media, my show, my social media. And there's no disputing this guy's love for the community and the franchise, but he's just not a head coach. I'm sorry. He's just not. He shouldn't have been given the keys to the car in this position. He's not ready for it. He's not. And it goes back to this organization. They don't do things the right way. I mean, they just don't think about it. They don't do it the right way. And you want to know why we're in situations like this? And again, I understand the season's not over. I asked Jerry directly last night, am I way overreacting based on 10 games? And he said, yeah, you probably are way overreacting. But he said, listen, I like to go 20 or 25 games before I get to where you're at right now. And then I followed it up by saying, yeah, but I don't see how this gets better anytime soon, especially since we know that Keegan Murray's not playing tomorrow and he's not playing against Atlanta. I would assume we'll have an update on him as the Kings embark on a road trip of 5 games. Maybe we'll see him back at some time during the road trip. But again, he's not going to just change everything. And then you're going to have the excuse, well, we're not used to playing with one another and we're trying to figure each other out. And that's going to be talked about, right? It's going to take a little bit of time for him to get on board. And by the way, I told you this when the signing was made of Russell Westbrook. I said, listen, I'm not anti-Westbrook. I understand that he can still play, but it makes no sense to me to have Russell Westbrook on this Kings team. Because what you're going to do is you're going to stunt the playing time of Keon Ellis and even Devin Carter. And what has happened? What has happened? Thank you very much. And maybe Russ wins you 1 more game, 2 more games, 3 more games. But, what happens if we get to April and this team is a 36-win team, 37, 38, 39? Let's say they make the play-in, have a 10th seed, or last year like a 9th seed, and then you're bounced out and you have a draft coming up that looks really, really, really enticing. And you're like, wow, if we could be 1, 2, 3, or 4 in June, after the lottery, you could get yourself a real heck of a player. And you can get a good player elsewhere in the draft. We've seen that. But I like my odds being at the top of the draft. And now it looks to me like if you're heading to no man's land, like what good is that? What's the direction of the team? I don't get it. Hey, I want to talk to you about Village Financial Group. And the market's starting to change now. And with the interest rates now, going below 6%, a lot of people are acting. Homes are being bought more rapidly. Things are looking up. And I want to talk to you about Village Financial Group because I have known their owner broker. I've known Spencer for 25 years. That's when he began his family-owned business. And now a lot of people are looking at home equity line of credits. They're looking at right now, yes, as we approach the holidays, they're looking at buying or selling a home. And one thing about Spence, he has a ton of experience. He is a financing specialist. He's very creative, and he has access to private money. Call or text Spence at 916-805-4868. And be sure and ask for the investor special. And I talk about the market starting to really move. Go to VFGloans.com, and you can find over 9,000 properties available. That's VFGloans.com. It makes sense to call Spence at 916-805-4868. That's 916-805-4868. Village Financial Group, looking out for your best interest. So back to the topic at hand before I switch gears next hour for a little while and talk about the 49ers, Brian Dable gone, and other things in the NFL. When you look at the big picture, okay, 3-7, a lot of blowouts, and a really good team coming in tomorrow in Denver on full rest, and then 3 games in 4 nights against the Atlanta Hawks. And in this conference, when you look at the road trip coming up, and you look at what is the forecast over an 82-game season, and the fact that you know that you're going to have more injuries, like you're not going to get Keegan back and all of a sudden you're going to be injury-free for the rest of the year. I think that what we want here in Sacramento, and I don't want to speak for everyone, okay, but I'm generalizing here. Fans want direction. They want to know, like, what's the goal of the franchise? Now, we've heard Scott Perry, the general manager, come out and talk about his 6 principles. Ryan, what are those 6 principles again?
Oh,
you got Ryan in there?
Yeah, you got me. You gonna put me on the spot?
Well, give me a couple of them, all right?
No, I've memorized them. Competitive, tough, team-oriented, accountable, disciplined, and professional.
How many of those principles do you think we've seen in the first 10 games?
Accountable, yes, from the players. I think
Agreed.
they've been pretty good about that.
Agreed.
Disciplined, no. Too much reaching on defense, just to start. Professional, I can't say they haven't been professional.
No, I
Can
would
you?
say they've been professional. I would agree with that.
Competitive at times, right, Grant?
Yeah, but not enough.
Tough,
No.
team-oriented.
No.
And whose fault is that? Is that the players or the coaches?
A combination of both.
Okay.
But I also think part of the problem with having a veteran team is that they know exactly everything that's going on because they've been around the block, and you can't sell them a bill of goods that they know is not worth buying. And this team, as it's made up currently, if you really want to talk about your main pieces, being Levine, right, being DeRozan, being Sabonis, and really, Keegan Murray I'll put in there. And I have to put Schroeder in there because they went out and got $15 million for him. But other than Murray, of the names that, and even Westbrook I'll put in there.
Yeah.
But okay, so other than Murray, none of those players I just mentioned are defensive stalwarts.
No.
And none of those players, in my opinion, if you put them on the floor together, are ever going to play good defense. And I mean ever. It's not going to happen. It's just not.
It's maybe 5 years ago. You could get a little bit more out of that. Maybe you get a little more picking up. But it's blatantly obvious with how guys are getting to the paint, how Jerry Reynolds will always tell you never let a ball handler get to the middle of the court, and just about any ball handler can do that. And because of their helping out, Grant, sometimes they overhelp, which opens up the lobs, which opens up the wide open corner threes. It's got to be all attention focused to offense.
Here's where the Kings are right now, and I predicted this, and I'm wrong before. I've been wrong before, and if I'm wrong, I'll come right on this radio show, and I'll say I'm wrong. I have no problem saying I was wrong. But I made this comment before the first game of the year that I thought this thing would be out of control by Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And we are close to that. We're not there yet. I mean, if the Kings go out and beat Denver tomorrow, everyone's going to be like opening up champagne bottles. That's how the fans are. I get that. We're in a very unique community here in Sacramento, and that's what I love so much about Sacramento fans. But, okay, I made the statement that your veterans, as soon as things start going south, are going to want to get out of Dodge. Sabonis is going to want to leave. DeRozan, Levine. I think Keon Ellis, with almost 100% certainty, is like, get me out of here. So now what you're going to have is you're going to have players trying everything in their power to get out of Sacramento. And you can't blame them. I mean, if I'm DeMar DeRozan, why would I want to stay in Sacramento? If I'm Zach LaVine, and I understand his contract's an issue, but why would you want to stay in Sacramento? If I'm Domantas Sabonis, a 3-time All-Star, okay, and I'm looking at this franchise going nowhere, why would I want to stay here? I wouldn't want to stay here. I can be a really important piece on a really good team, and I can be playing in June. Why would I want to stay here in Sacramento? If I'm Keon Ellis, based on what's going on, based on how he's played when he's on the floor, and we've watched it, and we watched him blossom and develop and grow, why would he want to stay here? And we are really close to that happening. And I've told you this was going to happen, and I'm watching it unfold right in front of my eyes.
And the latter of the two are the most concerning, Keon and Domas, because I think Keon, we all agree, or at least you and I agree, he's a piece of the puzzle that fits the future in terms of age and what he brings. And with Domas, that's not a situation, if he requested a trade, that you want to be put in a corner with. You need to get full value for Domas. And I think it's a little bit hard to do that if you're in that corner, because I think Domas, although he's worth the money he's being paid, he doesn't necessarily fit into everybody's scheme. And you're not going to pay that money just for somebody that's going to be able to rebound and, distribute the ball here and there. So those are the worst scenarios. On the flip side, Grant, with Zach LaVine's contract, if he keeps playing really well, he very well may opt out of his contract at $49 million this summer, because he thinks he can get paid more somewhere else. So maybe that helps.
Great point. Could very well happen, which the Kings would be thrilled with.
Yes, that would nothing against Zach. He's been a professional. I think he's having a heck of a season.
Yep, agreed.
But this situation with the way he's playing, I wouldn't want to spend my time here.
No, why would you? No. Of course not. 916-779-0929. Coming up in the second hour of the show, I'm going to be talking some NFL football because, it is Monday, and we've got a lot of NFL to go over. Are there any really dominant teams in the NFL? Yeah, there are. Not great, but dominant. And then there are the Buffalo Bills. If you have a read on the Bills, please let me know. And the 49ers are in real trouble. They got manhandled at home yesterday by the Rams. They got manhandled. And when you look at the Seahawks and you look at the Rams and they play this week, that should be an absolute dandy. So we've gone over the Kings in hour number 1. Hour number 2, the NFL story. Brian Daboll out as head coach of the Giants. It's all coming up next here on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Traffic as we take another look for the roadways for this Monday afternoon. Still looking pretty good throughout most of the Sacramento area. We do have a brand new problem to report to you. A disabled vehicle, US 50 westbound at 16th Street. Right lane is blocked off. You got stop and go traffic pretty much from Stockton Boulevard. Even 65th Street is great. You're going to hit those brakes and ride them all the way down to that scene. So give yourself that extra time. With twice an hour traffic, I'm Andy Bass for Fox Sports Sacramento.
For more than 4 decades, Sierra Pacific Home and Comfort has been trusted by home and business owners for their professional expertise in heating, air conditioning, and solar energy. Your home is your castle, and at Sierra Pacific, we thank you for 40 great years of trusting us to protect your castle. Sierra Pacific Home and Comfort, solar, heating, and air. SierraPacificHome.com.
Sierra Pacific Solar Heating and Air. The guys in the big red trucks.
At Downtown Ford Sacramento, we're proud of our long heritage. We've consistently provided Ford cars and trucks to families and businesses in this region for over 100 years. If we think about it, practically every kid who grew up in this town at one time or another rode around in a Ford that we sold to their family. We've served multiple generations of local farmers and ranchers who got their rugged Ford trucks from us. We've also provided many of the emergency vehicles that you see out doing the people's work every day on the streets. All of us at Downtown Ford, from our top-notch service department who keep your Ford running like new, to our dedicated finance team and the guys and gals in our showroom, we thank you for generations of love and loyalty to us. And for that love, we say right back at you. We're doing Fords just like we always have. Come see us any day of the week or visit us online at downtownfordsacramento.com.
Tired of the same old routine? Need a place where the beer flows and the good times roll? Then head to Fieldhouse American Sports Pub, 1833 Fulton Avenue. Family owned and operated, so you know you'll feel right at home. Catch all your favorite games on 18 big screens while enjoying amazing food. And with 28 beers on tap, you're sure to find something you love. And don't miss everyday happy hour from 3 to 7 and again from 10 till close. Looking for more than just the game? Trivia Tuesday starts at 7 p.m. And there's Mario Kart and bingo nights for even more fun, too. There's always a blast happening at Fieldhouse. Whether you're looking for a place to watch the game, grab a bite with the family, or just unwind with friends, Fieldhouse is the place to be. Fieldhouse American Sports Pub, 1833 Fulton Avenue. Bring it to the house.
The voice of Sacramento sports is back.
Hear Grant Napear every weekday beginning at 3 right here. KSAC 890 AM Olivehurst, K284CM 104.7 FM Sacramento.
Well, if you are a fan of the 49ers, you're not doing very well. It is not often that we talk about a beatdown and the 49ers in the same sentence. They got destroyed yesterday, 42-26. I mean, the game was basically over at the end of the first quarter, and you're seeing the impact of a couple of things, but really you're seeing an impact of not having Fred Warner and Nick Bosa on the field. And you're looking at Matthew Stafford, who had 4 touchdowns yesterday. You're looking at a Rams team that, first of all, is really good. They are 7-2. They have a quarterback who is in the MVP conversation. He's got 25 touchdowns already this year. In the last 6 games, 20 touchdowns, no interceptions. And they now split the season series with the 49ers, who are now 6-4. So the Niners are in a lot of trouble right now. And with the way Matthew Stafford's looking, it's going to be difficult to imagine them not finishing well the rest of the year. I mean, think about what they did to San Francisco. And again, I know they're shorthanded on defense. I get that. But Adams, Nakua, Allen, Parkinson, I mean, they couldn't guard anyone. They couldn't cover anyone. So Niners could be in trouble here. Not could be, they are. And they didn't make any moves last week at the deadline. They didn't make any moves to help their defense. And I think they saw the writing on the wall pretty much. Kyle Shanahan after the game said, quote, "We knew it would be a big challenge going in. We know how good they are. We thought we could slow them down and find a way to get them off on third down. We obviously didn't do that very well." Think about the first 3 possessions of the Rams. Touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. It's 21-0, and you're like, uh-oh. Just, turnovers, sloppy play on offense. And it's just, it was really a bad performance. Bad performance for the 49ers as a team. As a team. So, again, we'll see the big picture if the 49ers can make the playoffs, because I don't think they're going to win the division. I think, listen, Seattle is really, really good. The Rams appear to be really good. They both play defense. Offensively, I think they're both good. And I'm looking at what the Seahawks did. They just, the game was over in the first 10 minutes. They put 44 on the board. They beat the Cardinals 44-22. And then the other big story in the NFL today is the Giants, as they have fired their head coach, Brian Daboll. For the record, I would not have fired Brian Daboll. I would have fired Shane Bowen, their defensive coordinator, and I would have fired Joe Shane, their general manager, who has done a horrible job in drafting. Okay, so if it were me, I would have kept Brian Daboll. I would have fired Shane Bowen, the defensive coordinator, weeks ago. That's the biggest problem on the Giants. In my opinion, it's not Brian Daboll, but it's New York and the tabloids and the fans. And now it will be very interesting to see who's going to be the new head coach of the Giants moving forward. Mike Kafka is now going to be the interim coach. He's not going to be the coach. I can guarantee you that. The Bears, again, I shouldn't say again, the Giants, again, blow a fourth quarter lead. They can't hold on. And that's 3 times this year. The Denver game was the worst. The Cowboys game was bad. And then what happened in Chicago yesterday? And again, Brian Daboll is out as the head coach of the New York Giants. The Ravens are right there. Remember, we had them buried? Injuries, sloppy play, Derrick Henry fumbles, right? And now look at where Baltimore is. 4-5. Pittsburgh looked horrible yesterday. Aaron Rodgers was terrible in the loss against the Chargers. And you look at Baltimore now at 4-5. Healthy, coming on strong. And the Steelers are a team that could be in a little bit of trouble here because Baltimore plays Pittsburgh. They play each other twice. All right? They play each other twice. They play 2 games in December. The game coming up, I think the date is the 11th. And then maybe that other game is in January. It's the last game of the year. So that division is way up for grabs, where it looked like Baltimore was down and out. They got Lamar Jackson. He's healthy. He's dynamic. And you have a team that's very well coached. Very well coached. And then you have the Buffalo Bills. Would someone please tell me what is going on with the Buffalo Bills and how the Bills can look so good and so bad? They got a gift in week 1 against Baltimore when Henry fumbled, right? They lost at home to New England. They lost to Atlanta 24-14. Then they beat Carolina 40-9. They beat Kansas City 28-21. And then yesterday they lose in Miami to a bad football team 30-13. Tell me what's going on in Buffalo. Like, how could anyone take this team seriously? I don't get it. And you want to talk about a coach that's got to be on the hot seat? It's got to be Sean McDermott, doesn't it? And you look at New England at 8-2, Buffalo at 6-3. New England, to me, is the story, along with Indianapolis in the AFC. And the Colts did what they had to do to win against Atlanta. They have a dynamic running back in Jonathan Taylor. I mean, Taylor's unbelievable. What a game he had yesterday. Colts are 8-2, folks. They're 8-2. And they're going to win that division, barring injuries to Taylor and Jones. Really good offensive line, can run the football. They are really good. Really good. Jacksonville, 5-4, way behind the Colts in that division. Really good. I got to tell you, I don't know of anyone through 10 games of the NFL season would have the Colts and the Patriots at 8-2. Denver's 8-2. The Chargers find a way to win at 7-3. And then you have Kansas City, and then the Raiders can see them all. I'm really looking forward to the game tonight. Eagles and Packers. Philly at 6-2 down. Green Bay 5-2-1. The Lions are 6-3 behind Green Bay. How about Chicago? After the horrible start and the loss they had in week 1 against Minnesota, the coming out party for J.J. McCarthy in that fourth quarter. And that was a bad loss for the Bears. And they were talking about, Caleb Williams this and Ben Johnson, blah, blah, blah. Now all of a sudden they're 6-3. They're 6-3. Give them credit. They've won 2 in a row. They have found ways to win. That is a heck of a division right now with Green Bay, Detroit, and Chicago. Tampa, 6-3, losing yesterday. I don't know what Carolina is. I'm not picking Carolina in my picks anymore. I'm going to make believe they don't exist. There is not a more inconsistent team, I don't think, than the Carolina Panthers. I don't know how you would figure out this team losing at Jacksonville, losing at Arizona, winning 30-0 against Atlanta, losing at New England 42-13, then beating Miami, Dallas, the Jets. But, the way they won, then you lose against Buffalo 40-9, and then you win at Green Bay the following week 16-13. I mean, how do you go from losing to Buffalo 40-9, beating Green Bay at Lambeau 16-13, and then lose to the Saints at home 17-7? Like, how does that happen? I mean, go away, Carolina. Seriously, go away. There are so many inconsistent teams in the NFL this year. There really are. Except for Seattle, the Rams, the Colts, and the Patriots. Really. Buffalo's been very inconsistent. We know about Pittsburgh and Baltimore have been inconsistent. Everyone in the AFC South other than the Colts. AFC West. Denver has won their games, but, I said this last week, and I'm going to say it again after watching them play against the Raiders, and I've watched every game this year. They got to be the worst 8-2 team I've ever seen. They really do. I'm not impressed with them at all, but I got to give them credit. They're 8-2, and they're undefeated at home somehow at 5-0. I say somehow because I think at home they have not been very good. I've been more impressed with Denver on the road this year than I have at home, even though they're 3-2. I was more impressed with the loss at Indianapolis than I was with many of their wins at home. It's just me. I'm much more impressed with how they played against the Colts than I have in many of their other games that I've watched. Right? Philadelphia. They're Philadelphia. And they're going to win the NFC East. And I think, the NFC North and the AFC West. NFC West, rather, NFC North. Boy, those are two really good divisions. So 916-779-0929. And a really, really interesting matchup tonight in Monday Night Football. This could be a playoff preview with the Eagles and the Packers. Now, when you look ahead to the schedule coming up this week, I turn my attention in Week 11 to a game that I think you have to circle, and a game that's going to really give you a peek to what may happen at the end of the NFL season. Seattle at the Rams. That is going to be an absolute dandy. So after tonight, we look forward to the Thursday night matchup. Jets are at the Patriots. Then you have Washington at Miami. Atlanta hosts Carolina. Tampa is at Buffalo. Houston travels to Tennessee. The Bears and Vikings from Minneapolis. The Packers are at the Giants. Cincinnati travels to Pittsburgh. The Chargers are in Jacksonville. The Niners at Arizona. Baltimore on the road at the Dog Pound to take on the Browns. The Chiefs and Broncos from Denver. And then you have Detroit at Philadelphia coming up on Sunday night. What a dandy that should be. And then you have Dallas at the Raiders on Monday night. That's your schedule in the NFL. Interesting schedule. Some really good games there. Some really, really good games. So give me a call at 916-779-0929. That's 916-779-0929. Which direction you want to go mostly for today? You want to go mostly Kings and NBA, or you're already tired about the Kings and their deficiencies? I go back to my opening segment. Talk is cheap, right? And the players, I get it. They have to answer questions, and they're going to try to answer the questions as best they can without being too negative. I thought Domantas Sabonis' comments at the end of the bite we heard was very revealing. I don't really know what else to say. What else is he going to say? Granted, I don't know what's happening, and I keep listening to Doug Christie saying one thing, and then the game starts, and I'm not seeing it done on the floor. That, to me, is probably the most frustrating thing. It really is. It's incredibly frustrating to me. Hey, the NBA season, right? It's tipped off, and so does DraftKings' newest fantasy game. It's DraftKings Pick 6. It's the easiest way to play for big wins with every possession, giving you a shot at real money. Just take your favorite player, all right, look at the numbers, and this is how you play. You pick more or less on 2 or more stats, and you unlock the upside every game brings. The better your picks, the bigger your payout, all right? And remember, Pick 6 is available in your state, plus new DraftKings customers can get $50 in bonus picks with just a $5 entry on your first pick set. Now, don't just watch basketball. Cash in and download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code KSAC. That's code KSAC. Play just $5. Get $50 in Pick 6 bonus picks. Make the call. Ride the upside in partnership with DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable. Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos. All right. 916-779-0929. The Grant Napear Show. Fox Sports Sacramento. We got a lot to talk about.
Fox Sports traffic as we take another look at the roadways for this Monday afternoon. We're looking really good throughout the entire Sacramento area. No reported problems on the major thoroughfares. A hazard slowing things down on I-80 westbound at Antelope Way in North Sacramento. And Cap City Freeway is starting to see the little rush hour delays in between Marconi Avenue and Exposition Boulevard. But all in all, we're in really good shape throughout the entire area. With twice an hour traffic, I'm Andy Bass for Fox Sports Sacramento.
For nearly all of us, our home is our biggest investment. And just as important as what it looks like on the outside is what is happening on the inside. How long has it been since you had your home's electrical integrity checked? Whether your home is 10 or more years old or even a newer build, the safe rule of thumb is to get the electrical inspected at least every 5 years. At Gabrud's, electrical work is all we do. We're the area's recognized experts. Panel replacements, whole house fans, generators, solar, and more. But home inspections are what we do most often. Whether you have a difficult electrical situation or it's just time to ensure your home and family are safe. Call locally owned Gabrud's for our thorough 12-point expert inspection. Gabrud's, serving our Northern California neighbors for more than 30 years. Gabrud's, G-U-B-R-U-D-S.
Call the good dudes at Gabrud's, G-U-B-R-U-D-S, Gabrud's.com.
The holidays can be a time of increased stress for those struggling with opioid or stimulant addiction. They can also be a time for pause, reflection, opportunity, and new beginnings. This holiday season, choose treatment and recovery. Embrace the company of family and friends and create special moments. Find a proven opioid or stimulant addiction treatment provider near you at choosechangeca.org.
A busy Monday. How about some grades? I go in 5-game increments for the Sacramento Kings. In the first 5 games, I gave them a letter grade of a D, as in dog. So what about these past 5 games? They went 2-3. They won a game that I did not expect them to win at Milwaukee. I did not expect them to win at Oklahoma City. I did not expect them to win against Denver on the road. They beat the Warriors in a game in which both teams were without many key players. And, you know, you talk about where we are now. So my letter grade is a C-. Rhino, last 5 games, 2 wins at Milwaukee, home Golden State. What's your letter grade over the 5 games? A new 5 games tomorrow begins against Denver.
It is a C- as well. That's what I had him at last 5 games. It would be a C standalone C had they blown out Golden State like they should have.
And then the game last night has a big impact, I think, because it was a game where they were not competitive. And I think last night you could question the effort, and I think it was talked about on the post game. It's just like the guys I'm sorry, it looked to me like they gave up.
See, I don't think that they gave up. That I did not get that impression. But to your point about before the break when Domantas Sabonis said, "I don't know," and walked away from the podium, the body language last night looked defeated from him. Looked defeated from Zach LaVine, and it wasn't like defeated like, man, we got our butts kicked tonight. It was just, are we going to be able to turn this thing around? Is this reality? And Zach mentioned it. Saying we've still got a lot of season, yada, yada, yada. But, yeah, you can make an argument. Think Doug Christie has somewhat quit by the players he's playing?
There's just no rhyme or reason. And then I want to talk about Dennis Schroeder, who looks to me like a really, at the moment, a really bad signing for this team. But it's early. I mean, it is only 10 games. But somebody on the text line, 916, referred to what he was saying last night in the locker room, where he was talking about looking lost on offense. And he said he doesn't know who the first option is. He said he's got LaVine on the left, DeRozan on the right. Sabonis wants the ball up the middle. Isn't that Schroeder's job as the point guard? Yes, it is his job. And Ryan, I wanted to ask you about his comments that he made after the game, because this is an experienced point guard. He's been on a lot of different teams and a lot of different situations. He's had a full training camp. And after the game last night, saying that he's still not comfortable after 10 games. Well, he should be comfortable after 10 games. Your thoughts on what he said?
Yeah, it goes back to what you said about puzzle pieces in your opening rant. I'm not going to call it a segment. That was an opening rant. And he sees that these are very, very different puzzle pieces to work with. And within the offense that Doug Christie wants the guys to run, which is a read-based offense rather than a structured-based offense where the Kings are running plays, that puts immense pressure on Dennis Schroeder. And quite frankly, for a player at his age, although he has been a very serviceable point guard, it's beyond his pay grade. I think it's what this offense is calling out for internally. They need some structure. They need to be put in places to have success, and they're not able to figure it out. And I think it's going to take some high-level thinking.
And Doug's in a really difficult spot as it relates to Dennis Schroeder and the minutes that he's playing, because that's Scott Perry's big and only, I shouldn't say only because of Westbrook, but that's his big free agent signing this offseason. $15 million, right? A 3-year deal totaling 45, with the third year not fully guaranteed, I believe. So Doug's in a tough situation because he can't, if he takes Schroeder out of the starting lineup, or all of a sudden Schroeder starts playing 20 minutes a game, that's going to look really bad for Perry. And so Doug's in a very difficult situation there.
See, I don't think it makes Schroeder look bad if he's playing 20 minutes. If he's removed from the starting lineup, probably. What you need to do if you're trying, Grant, if you and I were running the team under the constraints that Doug Christie is, and we're having a meeting behind closed doors, what you need to do is play Schroeder like you played Kevin Huerter. Yeah, you start him, but he's one of the first guys out. And maybe, depending on the flow of the game, you bring him back for a little bit of a run in the second quarter. He starts the third, and then it's off to the races with the rest of the guys in the fourth. And last night, you might be surprised to hear this, there was some pushback from the fans online that Russell was not starting at point guard. They were surprised by that.
Interesting. From the 509, Kings get a D-, poor defense, no team play, horrible coaching, point guard disaster. All right. What grade are you giving the Kings over the last 5 games? Not 10 games, the last 5 games, with a record of 2-3. The new 5-game increment will start tomorrow against Denver, and then the very next night, the Atlanta Hawks. As bad as things are right now, and let's not camouflage this, let's not sugarcoat this, things are bad right now. If this team looks bad tomorrow night, and then loses against Atlanta the following night, oh my goodness. Okay? It is really going to be bad. They have to figure out a way to win at least one of these 2 games and stop the bleeding and stop this snowball from going down the hill.
Absolutely. And if we're going to look at some of the bright spots that might help with that, Precious Achua looked really good
Yeah, he
last
did.
night.
Yeah.
He had a double-double, first time being inserted into the starting lineup. After practice on Saturday, he was working with some of the trainers and the coaches on the different wrinkles within the offense for about an hour, and it showed. I saw a couple moves that they were exactly practicing that he converted on. So that gives you a little bit more size up front. But, this team's just going to have to find it in the transition. That's where it comes down to. They're not talking, Grant, with the transition defense, and transition and offense has not been greatly executed. It's been sloppy at times.
I always like to follow players that were just on the team and go elsewhere. Isaac Jones, with the Pistons. And I like the fact that they got him some work right away. They put him on their G League team, and he really responded. He had 21 points and 12 rebounds. He had 3 assists in 33 minutes, and then the Pistons recalled him, back up to the big squad. I like that. Smart move. Get him some work, okay? Get his confidence back, and let's see if he ends up playing for the Detroit Pistons, gets off the bench, and I'd like to see what his impact is because the Pistons are a much, much better team than Sacramento, okay? They're better coached. They have better players. They're just a better run franchise. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's the reality of the situation. I mean, they're 8-2 for a reason, and it's going to be interesting. I want to keep an eye on Isaac Jones and see, whether he can get off the bench and contribute to what they're doing. I think he's in a really good situation there.
I love what you just said, not just about Isaac, but what the Pistons did. It's an underused move, Grant. Teams don't do that enough with their G League teams. Send guys down for a little bit of run. We saw it with Devin Carter. Max had a practice with Stockton. He looked good the next game. So well done by you.
Yeah. All right. Again, call the show 916-779-0929. Said we need things to go bad quickly. Rip the Band-Aid off. Don't give Vivek any reason to keep the status quo. Well, I don't know what you mean by that, to keep the status quo, but if you mean keep the way that things are now. 916 says Russell Westbrook plays better as a starter. Schroeder plays better as a backup. Why hasn't there been a change in the starting lineup? Was Schroeder promised a starting point guard by Perry or Christie? Very interesting message. Very interesting. All right, again, let's get to some phone calls. 916-779-0929. Why don't we get to Vacaville? Thanks for calling the show, Javier. How are you today?
How you doing today, Mr. Nate? It's been a long time. How are you?
Thank you very much. I'm well. Thank you.
I just, I look back 31 months ago, and it felt like back when you were calling games when I was like a 13-year-old young teenager in the 06 era. We were, 7-game series with the Warriors, the NBA champions. We were right there primed for, a stark rise in our overall outlook. And it's a shame that this worst owner in sports, along with just all the meddling of everybody in that organization, has taken the Kings. 11 months ago, we had a good, respectable coach that everyone wanted to run out of town, and a young Buddy Star we haven't had since Chris Webber was here. And now we're just back to a clown show. It's a joke. And I listened to your show yesterday after the game, and just it obviously feels good to rant and to vent and to let things out, real talk. But it's just a shame because this fan base. You see the seats on the day that they played the NBA Cup game. The seats on the television match the screen to all these great empty seats because it's Vivek. I don't know what you see, but obviously we can't figuratively or literally make him sell the team. But I don't even know what his overall agenda is because this holding on to these veteran players to build a culture, all they're learning how to do, the young players, is how to lose in every which way and how not to play defense in every which way. And our best defender in Keon Ellis, outside of Keegan Murray, who's obviously on injured reserve right now, isn't getting a minute of playing time, but we preach the best defensive players are going to earn their way onto the court. That is just such nonsense to talk out of both sides of your mouth. And we love Christie in Sacramento, but you're just talking your way into becoming, unfortunately, lack of a better phrase, you get out in time to become a hero, or you last long enough to become a villain and ruining how D-Box reputation and, overall outlook of what he does as GM compared to him as a player. And now Christie, how can you sit there and tell us as a coach, a well-respected NBA veteran, now the NBA head coach of the Sacramento Kings, that's what you're looking to find playing time for, and Keon Ellis gets minutes after the fans chant his name, and he gets 12 measly garbage time minutes in the fourth quarter, when you guys couldn't stop a nosebleed on the perimeter. You got it's a shame. They shouldn't have signed Schroeder. They should have signed Russell Westbrook as their minimum point guard to replace as a starter for the season. Had Devin Carter back him up, see what he can do. Don't trade Jonas Valanciunas because you see we obviously need a backup center. But obviously, I guess Scott Perry and Doug Christie and Vivek, they know everything that we don't know. But I do know that we all see the 3-7. They look horrible, and they're back to being the butt of all jokes in the NBA. But I guess us and everybody watching, we just don't know what we're looking at. But I know that they think they're going in the right direction. But it hurts because we were right there to the last inclination of beating the Golden State Warriors, the champions prior to that season. 7 games. If Steph doesn't go nuclear for 50, we're going to the second round. And all that feels like 31 months ago. It feels like 31 years ago. Yeah. And it's over. And it hurts to say. It's a shame. It's a shame, sir. And I wish, obviously this is all, how'd you say, a stretch. But do they even care what we have to say, what you have to say, what anybody with any rational sense of thinking, like, Jerry Reynolds? Or do they just think the high and mighty? It's a shame, sir. I just cannot believe the logic that they don't use and the objectivity that they never ponder upon, because it's just a rerun. It's just rinse and repeat every season. And we had it. We had a good formula, the X and Y axis of the organization with Mike Brown, and it's gone.
Javier, thank you very much for the call. You take care. Appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. The only thing you said, it's more than 31 months. All right. Other than that, everything you said, I really can't disagree with. And right now, the Kings are a clown show. I don't think anyone can really dispute that. They are a clown show. Let's get to Ryan in Sacramento. Hello, Ryan.
Hey, Grant. The last 12 hours or so since last night's game, I've been seeing a lot of talk about how bad Doug Christie has coached the last few games. And I can't disagree. But the focus of Doug Christie isn't fair when you look at the grand scheme of things. And what I mean by that is Doug is a grain of sand on Vivek Ranadive's beach of bad decisions that he's made over the last 15 years. It's been bad decision after bad decision for years. And my hope truly is that this season goes sideways incredibly quick, to the point where they have to make major sweeping changes and do what they have to do to completely turn this roster over. Because those wins against Milwaukee, those wins against the Warriors, that gives Vivek just enough optimism and hope that he's going to let this thing keep riding out for a little bit longer. And that is the last thing this franchise and this fan base needs.
Spot on. I can't disagree with anything you just said. You're 100% spot on.
Well, let's hope things this week go as badly as I'm hoping they will, and we'll see some changes happening here swift and quickly. But we'll see. Thanks, Grant.
Thank you, Ryan. Well, I can't imagine how they're going to beat Denver, but it's the NBA, right? Denver's going to come in well rested. They last played on Saturday. They have arguably the best player in the NBA, or one of the top 2 players, depending on where you rank SGA. We saw what Nikola Jokic did to the Kings last week. He toyed with them. We saw what Aaron Gordon did to the Kings last week. He toyed with them. The Denver Nuggets are 7-2. I said Pistons, I apologize. Denver 7-2, right? Jokic, you take a look at Gordon. You look at Jamal Murray when you need big baskets. You look at this team. You look at how good they are, how well they play. And by the way, Murray is expected to play. I know I got a question about, his calf. He was listed as officially day-to-day, and so was Aaron Gordon, that he's also on the injury report listed today as probable with a hamstring. So both Murray and Gordon are listed as questionable. Again, they've had 3 full days off for the game tomorrow. If those 2 did not play, I would say Sacramento would win the game. Let's get to Mac. Hello, Mac. Welcome.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, Mac. What's going on?
So I just had a quick question. I know that before, we've had a coaching carousel, and we have been in positions where, we weren't able to fire a coach due to financial reasons. My question is, I agree on your opinion with Doug Christie, unfortunately, because he's one of my favorite, players of the old days. But my question is, since this is already a clown show, and it doesn't look like we're going to win anything, like you said last night. At best, maybe we sneak in the 10th. Is it not a horrible decision to ride with Christie due to financial reasoning and not having to buy him out?
Well, first of all, he has a very small contract by NBA standards, so his contract is a non-issue on whether he stays or not because it's an insignificant amount of money, relatively speaking. Okay, it's not a big deal, and they're not paying Mike Brown anymore because as soon as the Knicks hired him and paid him more than what the Kings were paying him, the Kings were off the hook here. You can't double dip. So if they were to go in a different direction with the head coach financially, that would not be a option about whether to do it or not. That's insignificant.
Okay, and one last thing, and I always like to ask you about college football, and I've told you I'm biased about Notre Dame. Jeremiah Love had that 48-yard touchdown run. In your opinion, is that possibly a Heisman moment? And I'll take it off the air. Have a great day, Ryan. Best wishes to you, and have a good evening.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, part of the conversation, yeah, I'll talk about this with Chris Landry coming up on Thursday, who is so dialed into college football. Tomorrow, we have Sean Salisbury, and we'll talk some college and the NFL as well. I haven't really spent a lot of time analyzing Heisman because that's also so darn political in terms of how that is determined. So, again, we'll talk about this with Chris Landry coming up on Thursday. 916-779-0929. That's 916-779-0929. I did find it interesting that Lane Kiffin, the head coach of Ole Miss, came out today and was talking about how they got it wrong and that Texas A&M should be number one, that they should be the number one ranked team in college football. I thought that was interesting of Lane Kiffin. And it'll be interesting to see if the rumors become more of a foundation as it relates to Lane Kiffin leaving Ole Miss and going to coach Jackson Dart with the Giants in the NFL. Now, there were two thoughts about that. Number one, he wouldn't make as much money, not even close. That's number one. And number two, if he went to New York and it didn't work out, he would always be on the top of a list back in the SEC as soon as one of the coveted jobs became available. So you have to look at that both ways. But he's no way in the world he's going to make the amount of money that he's making at Ole Miss. Not even close. 530 said the rebuild starts today. Keep up the tank. Well, the problem is they're not rebuilding right now. When you say it starts today, there's no rebuilding going on. That's the problem. There's no direction. I don't see a rebuild. Do you see a rebuild? I don't see a rebuild. We'll talk more about this in our next segment right here, Fox Sports Sacramento.
Okay, we are running a car drive right now to help veterans all across America. So if you have an old car, truck, or van, even a motorcycle or an RV sitting around, you can right now give it away and help the vets. They really need your help. And your car will help support the vets and their families. And guess what? You even get a tax donation. Plus, we'll even come and pick up your car for free. And all you've got to do is pick up your phone right now and make a free call. Now is the perfect time to do something good for the vets. Give back to the vets right now for all they've done for this country. And your old car can really help them. So call the Veterans Car Donation Program right now for free pickup of your vehicle. Help the vets and help your taxes at the same time. Call right now.
800-598-0539. 800-598-0539. 800-598-0539. That's 800-598-0539.
For nearly all of us, our home is our biggest investment. And just as important as what it looks like on the outside is what is happening on the inside. How long has it been since you had your home's electrical integrity checked? Whether your home is 10 or more years old or even a newer build, the safe rule of thumb is to get the electrical inspected at least every 5 years. At Gabroods, electrical work is all we do. We're the area's recognized experts. Panel replacements, whole house fans, generators, solar, and more. But home inspections are what we do most often. Whether you have a difficult electrical situation or it's just time to ensure your home and family are safe, call locally owned Gabroods for our thorough 12-point expert inspection. Gabroods, serving our Northern California neighbors for more than 30 years. Gabroods, G-U-B-R-U-D-S.
Call the good dudes at Gabroods, G-U-B-R-U-D-S, Gabroods.com.
Back with you here on Fox Sports Sacramento, 916-779-0929. We've got phone calls to get to, and we start with John. John, welcome to the show. How are you?
Grant, I'm doing good. How are you, my friend?
I'm well. Thank you, buddy.
Man, what a weekend in football. What a crazy night last night, or the previous two Kings games. You know, we lost by 50 or 60 points. Is that what it was? The Kings, it seems to me, Grant, it's almost like they're starting to want to make sure that they don't win 30 games. They want to keep it between 15 and 20 or 25 games to get a good pick. And I almost understand this. Do you call it a soft tank or something? This early in the season makes no sense, but I think it could be in the cards that the Kings are going to win about 15 or 20 games this entire season.
Wow. Well, I think they'll win more than that, but I actually would be okay with it.
25?
Yeah, I need listen, in all fairness, I need to see what the team looks like with Keegan Murray, in all fairness, before I talk about winning 15 or 20 games.
I know. I do too, Grant. Thanks for talking me off the ledge a little bit too, because I love Keegan, and I'm disappointed in what Schroeder has done so far.
It's been terrible.
I'm impressed in what. I know it. Well, as he's been professional though, so thank God for that.
That's who he is. That's his character. He's a professional guy. That's not going to change.
Yeah, I didn't think it would. Westbrook I knew he was going to play hard, but he's played hard like I expected, and he's played better than I expected. Realistically, I didn't think there was any reason to have him on the team. And obviously, stunting our other guards, our young guys. I mean, Ellis needs to frickin' play. And that's all there is to it. Ellis has got to play more minutes than, 10 or 12? He needs 20? I think Jerry said 30.
Yeah, Jerry said 30.
He needs more minutes. Yeah. He needs more minutes, man. But it's nor here nor there, man. We shall see. We're 10 games in. We're all, like Jerry kind of said last night, we're all rushing to judgment here a little bit. We're only a handful of games in. However, the football season, Grant, this thing's halfway done now. And Brian Daboll being fired, I think that was the wrong thing. And I heard about it only an hour ago. I was listening to your show, and then something came up. So I don't know exactly when that happened. Did that happen this morning?
Yeah, it happened earlier today. Yeah. I don't like it either. I would not have fired him. I think it's a little premature, but the move's already been made, and we'll see who the next head coach will be. I would have fired the defensive coordinator.
Oh, you're preaching to the choir. And listen, I'm a defensive-oriented guy, and that's who I think I would have. General manager, perhaps, for not looking into not having a longer vision, to the future. But when you don't get a offensive lineman to protect your quarterback, your football team is going to suffer, and that's all there is to it. The way I see it, and the way I've saw it for a long, long time.
John,
and you never know. Sometimes, remember when the Giants picked up Flowers? We thought this guy's going to be good. Realized, man, he can't freaking play. Well, they tried, and you still got to try. This is why we play them. Halfway through this football season is pretty fun.
John, good hearing from you, buddy. You stay safe.
Buddy.
Take care. All right. Yep, thank you. 916-779-0929. Hey, I want to spend a moment and tell you about DAS Mechanical. They are HVAC retrofit and service specialists. They also do new systems. And with DAS Mechanical, not only are they top shelf in what they do, and you can find that out by just looking at all of their 5-star reviews and their numerous Best of the Best awards when you go online to dasmechanical.org. But we talk about retrofitting and, again, service specialists. They also do new systems. Currently, rebates available up to $6,000, including a $2,000 federal tax credit, but that's due to go away at the end of the year. So if you need a new system, now is the time to contact DAS Mechanical and let them come out and do a thorough checkup, and they will give you every single piece of information that you need to make the best decision. Family owned and operated since 2018, serving Sacramento and Placer counties. And right now until the end of November, a $69 winter maintenance check. So it's very simple. Only $69. You go to dasmechanical.org, D as in dog, A, S as in Sam, mechanical.org, and you schedule right online. And again, spend a moment or two and look at all of their 5-star reviews and their numerous Best of the Best awards. And if you do need a new unit, remember there are financing options available to you, including 0% interest for 18 months. That's dasmechanical.org, dasmechanical.org. 916-779-0929. Again, that's 916-779-0929. Talking about the NFL, talking about the NBA, and talking about whatever else you want to right here on a Monday. Getting ready for a really good Monday night matchup with the Eagles and the Packers. Really good matchup, at least on paper. So we'll see how this game turns out. Really could be a playoff type of a preview and could determine a home field advantage in one of the playoff games when we get to January. So we can talk about that. Again, I'm looking for letter grades. We're getting a couple of them coming in. What letter grade would you give the Kings based on their last 5 games where they went 2-3, wins against Milwaukee and a win against Golden State? What's your letter grade? What are you doing? All right, a loss at Denver, a loss against Oklahoma City at home, and a loss last night, and a blowout loss, an embarrassing loss to the Minnesota Timberwolves, where they gave up a ton of points, right? Wow. You know what else is interesting to me when I see stories? And a guy that I know personally, who I have a lot of respect for, is Michael Wilbon. I think he's really good at what he does. He's been a long-time sports journalist, both in print and on electronic media. Well, he went on, pardon the interruption, and I was very surprised to hear this. I'm sure you heard over the weekend that 2 of the pitchers for Cleveland were accused of intentionally throwing pitches outside the strike zone, and in return, they got a kickback on bets on their pitch location. And I was very surprised what Wilbon said, quote, if guilty and there's punishment, so be it. I don't care. At the highest levels of the pyramid in this country, in this culture, everybody's betting now. I'm a little surprised by that. I think that, he went on and said it's on every phone except yours and mine, meaning Tony Kornheiser. Does that affect the game? Does it tilt it in any way that matters to me? Well, he then was pressed by his co-host talking about Chase and Ortiz and their allegations and what they did in Cleveland could be more impactful forms of fraud. Wilbon said, quote, that's a slippery slope. All right. And then they wrapped up the conversation there. I'm a little surprised at the cavalier response from Michael Wilbon. Just went and said, well, everybody's gambling now. I'm a little surprised that Wilbon went that way. And again, I have a lot of respect for Michael Wilbon. Letter grade, F. What's your letter grade for the Kings through the first 5 games? What would be your overall letter grade through 10 games? Right? So, interesting. Rhino, you want to add to what I just talked about?
Yeah, I'm just curious if we're not looking at it from the right angle. Is Wilbon just saying, like, accept it? It's happening. Don't be surprised anymore.
Yeah, maybe he is, but he should have said that. He didn't say it that way. And maybe that's exactly what he meant. Do you accept it?
I don't want to accept it, but I'm closer to accepting it than denying it, if that makes sense.
So I want to make sure that we are on the same page, because I don't want to misconstrue this, because this is an important issue, okay? It's an important issue. Are we talking about, like, you're accepting that games are being altered and that players' stats are being altered due to betting? Or are we talking about prop bets? Are you accepting the fact that there may be now improprieties going on in the games that you're watching, and that it's not 100% on the up and up? Is that what you're saying, or are you saying something else?
I'm saying that players are gambling. Now, I don't know if that's throwing a game. It could be a prop.
Gambling on their own sports?
I think they're gambling.
On their own sports?
Yeah, actually I do.
Okay.
I do. And
okay.
It might be in a way that's not throwing a game, but I think there are more. There's no way to prove it yet. We'll see with the NBA. But yeah, I think a lot of players are gambling. And I think it's been going on for longer than we know.
Okay. Let me paint a scenario. Okay. So, like, when Mike Bibby played in Sacramento, he had his, everyone knew about Team Dime, right? Okay. And there are a lot of players that have, for lack of a better term, entourages around them. Okay. There's security details. There's friends. Like John Morant's another example. Okay. And again, I'm just using these examples to paint the picture here. Don't we assume, or should we assume, that in conversations, riding 2 games or hanging out together in someone's living room or what have you, the conversation goes, oh man, I can't believe so-and-so's not playing tomorrow night and so-and-so's not playing tomorrow night. And then what happens? Do those individuals then tell their friends and they make all these crazy bets? Like, is that what because that doesn't really affect what you're watching. Like, I don't necessarily have a problem with that, because that's not, as Michael said, that's not impacting the game. It's not impacting me. It's inside information where somebody may make a lot of money, but that's not impacting anything that I'm watching. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, no, actually I would. I think that's a much better way of putting it. You know, I think it's somewhere right there in between that gray area where information is getting out, whether the player or the person around the player indirectly receives it. Somehow it gets passed along and gets used. I mean, that's if you look at the other scandals, that's how it's usually started, right? With Donaghy, and then the mob caught on and they wanted their cut. And that's how the mob got into it.
Well, I think Wilbon is probably more in line to what you're thinking. Like, what did you expect? Like, what did you think was going to happen? Like, what did you think was going to happen when you're able to make bets on your phone and legalize sports gambling, and you have all of these various betting sites that entice you with free play and this and that? And, you know, I think Wilbon's, maybe you're right. He was like, well, what did you expect? You think that this stuff's not going to happen? Of course it's going to happen.
It's front and center everywhere.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. A couple of messages from the 530. My grade for this team is a solid D. Doug Christie, I believe, has his hands tied by the delusional owner. Grant, I'll change my grade from F to D. They beat the Bucks with Giannis playing. Okay, that's fine. Give him a D. Another letter grade, F. So I want your grade on what you would give after 5 games, and then what do you give it for the 10 games? I mean, if it were 10 games, my letter grade would be a D, maybe a D minus. I think it's been very alarming what I've watched in 10 games. That's me. You have Dennis Schroeder, Rhino, who I think out of the 10 games, I think maybe 2 games I would say he's played well. And I was like, okay, that's the Dennis Schroeder I thought they were going to get. I think he's probably had 5 games that were bad games, and 3 games that were like, right, nothing like knocked me off my chair. That's how I would analyze him in his first 10 games. Agree or disagree?
I agree, and I'm going to double down on that just going off of my head since I've seen every game. In all of those games, it's been a bad start. It's always
Horrible.
come in the second half.
So why is the starting lineup not being changed significantly with the team getting off the bad starts every night?
It's a good question. And I think that question, Doug is getting some indirect time, a little bit of extra time on that until Keegan Murray comes back. Because if you had Keegan Murray in this starting lineup right now and this was going on, there would be no avoiding that, Names.
Well, let's hope he can join the team at some point during the road trip, because that fits within the timetable if you're looking at 4 to 6 weeks from when he first injured the thumb. So, I mean, that's part of the timetable. So I could see that being a possibility where he would join the team. And again, I'm only going by the numbers and the math here by looking at a calendar. At Bowling Green, they did teach us how to look at a calendar and count. So by looking at the calendar, I could see that being a possible scenario.
You know, your fellow grad, Antonio Daniels, was talking about Bowling Green this weekend.
Really?
Yeah. He was talking about how great of a community it is.
Oh, it is
how
great.
Much he enjoyed it.
I did too. It was honestly the best time of my life when I reflect back on it. Yeah, it was. You wouldn't think so, but funny story, real quickly before we get to the break. So I was recruited to play lacrosse there, and I didn't know anything about Bowling Green. I'm growing up on Long Island, and I was not bragging. I was a very, very good high school lacrosse player, and I had a couple of real big schools that I had talked to about playing lacrosse. And then I went out to Bowling Green, and they were building up a Division I program, and they had a schedule that was very enticing to me. And since there was no pro lacrosse, I wanted to go to a place where, I wasn't going to be buried on the bench for 2 years, like if I go to one of the top schools. And so I went out to Bowling Green, and I arrived in Toledo on a Friday afternoon, and the coach picked me up at the airport. And for the weekend, I stayed at the Fidel House, a fraternity that I would later join the following year in my very first semester. I had the most unbelievable weekend, one of the best weekends of my life. That Friday night, we went to the Bowling Green, Ohio State hockey game, and we are standing behind the glass, and I'm watching this hockey game. And right then and there, while I'm there at the arena watching the hockey game, I decided I was going to Bowling Green. I mean, Friday night had not even ended, and I decided that I was going to school there. That atmosphere at that hockey game was so unbelievable. And then the next day, we went out to a goal on the lacrosse field because they wanted to see how I played. And again, I didn't bring my stick with me. And just so you know, in lacrosse, like the lacrosse stick's a real big deal. I used to string my own sticks, and I would have it exactly the way I wanted to. And they're all different in the feel. And so, I used someone else's stick, and it wasn't the same as mine. It's not like I was terrible or whatever, but it wasn't the same. But they were all giving me props of, man, you need to come here. You need to come play here. And I decided, though, I had already made the decision I was coming here before they all told me, you need to come here. And it was the best decision I ever made in my life. But I knew, just standing at the hockey game, you know how crazy I am about hockey, right?
Yeah.
And then little did I know that a lot of the people that I were watching that night on the ice would become some of my very best friends. And they had that goaltender that night, Mike Leut, went on and played for the St. Louis Blues. Kenny Morrow was on the ice for that game, was on the 1980 United States Olympic hockey team, the Miracle on Ice, along with Mark Wells. They had but the atmosphere in that arena for that hockey game was, I was like, I'm coming here. I'm like, I need this. Like, I'm going to Bowling Green, and I had the best weekend I've ever had.
You might be that's incredible, number one, but you might be one of the only recruits that stayed at a frat house and didn't decide to come to Bowling Green because of the after hour
Well, that was a
activities.
real close second. Okay, that was like, that wasn't even a 1A and a 1B. It was like a one. It was like a one big A, and then next to it one in a small. All right, not a capital A, a small A. Yeah, that was like, and not only did I feel that way, as soon as the pledge season opened in the fall, I pledged that fraternity.
Yeah.
And I actually moved out of the dorm after my first semester and moved into the fraternity house for the rest of
Nice.
my college career.
I was never on a recruiting visit, but I was part of many recruiting visits. So they are fun, and
Oh, boy.
they are a full 48 hours for
Oh.
whoever's in town.
It was unbelievable. One of the best weekends of my life. Don't forget, Grant's rant is coming up here in just a moment or two. I've already done a rant, but I'll do another rant. It won't be 20 minutes like my opening rant. And if you missed my opening rant, I've got good news for you. You can check it out at 6 o'clock when we replay the first hour of the show. You can also go to your favorite podcast platform where we upload the show as soon as within 10 or 15 minutes. So wherever you get your podcast, you can listen to this show whenever you want. Don't forget about streaming as well on YouTube on the Fox Sports Sacramento YouTube page. But when we come back, Grant's rant to get the week started on a Monday right here on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Fox Sports traffic, heavy rush hour delays is the biggest thing we have to contend with throughout the Sacramento area, especially on Cap City Freeway in between Marconi Avenue and the US 50 interchange. Give yourself about 20 extra minutes to work your way through there. US 50 westbound in between 65th Street and the I-5 interchange. You two are also dealing with some heavy rush hour delays through there. And I-80 eastbound in between, let's call it County Road 104, Mace Boulevard, out to about Enterprise Boulevard as well. I'm Andy Bass for Fox Sports Sacramento.
Hi, it's Margot from Bennett's Restaurants. At Bennett's, it's all about bold flavors and fresh handcrafted food served with genuine hospitality. Craving prime hand-cut steaks? We've got them. Fresh salmon, halibut, or giant Mexican prawns? We've got those too. At Bennett's, we serve premium seafood and steaks in a relaxed setting. Whether you're joining us for a special night out or a casual bite, we'll treat you like family every time. Find us in Sacramento, Roseville, and Rockland. View our menus and make a reservation at bennettsrestaurants.com.
At Downtown Ford Sacramento, we're proud of our long heritage. We've consistently provided Ford cars and trucks to families and businesses in this region for over 100 years. If we think about it, practically every kid who grew up in this town at one time or another rode around in a Ford that we sold to their family. We've served multiple generations of local farmers and ranchers who got their rugged Ford trucks from us. We've also provided many of the emergency vehicles that you see out doing the people's work every day on the streets. All of us at Downtown Ford, from our top-notch service department who keep your Ford running like new, to our dedicated finance team and the guys and gals in our showroom, we thank you for generations of love and loyalty to us. And for that love, we say right back at you. We're doing Fords just like we always have. Come see us any day of the week or visit us online at downtownfordsacramento.com.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. Justin Herbert isn't showing flashes anymore. He's actually showing proof. Proof that he's one of the best quarterbacks. After a gritty Sunday night win over the Steelers, the Chargers are now 7-3. LA has been ravaged by injuries. Both their star tackles, Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater, are out. Running backs, Omarion Hampton and Najee Harris, also on the IR. And what was once viewed as a thin wide receiver room anchored by the aging Keenan Allen and a struggling Quentin Johnson, they've somehow transformed it into one of the league's more productive units. That doesn't happen by accident. That happens when your quarterback is is special. Herbert has elevated everybody around him, commanding an offense, missing its stars, and turning it into a positive. He's dissecting defenses, extending plays, and showing the poise of a veteran. They're 7-3, but the real story is how Herbert has gotten them there. This is a quarterback making the leap right in front of us. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. It's being called the Golden Bonanza Sweepstakes. Thanks to our friends at Mako, the DP Show, proud to be a part of this, giving listeners a chance to join us in San Francisco for Super Week. That's right, a trip for two, including round-trip coach airfare, 3 nights, hotel stay, ground transportation, and VIP access to see us do our show. If that's not enough, Mako also giving away 5 free paint jobs and 10 Mako and DP Show swag bags as runner-up prizes. It's really simple to enter. You go to danpatrick.com. The best news, you can enter daily for a chance to win. You can also receive a 25% off coupon to use at any Mako shop. Visit any Mako location now for a free estimate and redeem the coupon. Terms and conditions apply. Remember, go to danpatrick.com for official rules. No purchase necessary. Void in Alaska, Hawaii, and where prohibited. Open to contiguous U.S. D.C. residents 18 or over. Ends 11/23/20.
Tell your friends. Grant's back. Grant Napear is back on the Sacramento airwaves right here. KSAC 890 AM Olivehurst. K284CM 104.7 FM Sacramento.
It's time for Grant's Rant.
Rhino, I don't know if I'm going to be able to top the rant that I did for 20 minutes at the top of the show, but you never know. So what are my options here?
Yeah, it's going to be hard. That was an epic one, which you can hear, if you would like, at 6 o'clock. Once we're off of the air, we replay hour number 1. But here is your first option. Good old
That's a great question.
Kelly will not go away. LSU has offered him a couple of settlement offers that would pay him slightly less, or actually significantly less, than what his buyout is at $54 million, but it would get to him in a lump sum right now. He has given LSU, the deadline's passed, until 3 o'clock earlier today to confirm that LSU will be paying him his full $54 million buyout. So you can go one or two ways. LSU, you wrote the contract, you're on the hook for it, or Brian Kelly, just take something and go. And your second option, Deron Payne, was ejected and now is going to have a 1-game suspension for punching a Lions player. Grant, it has never made sense to me why a person would punch somebody that is wearing a football helmet.
I'm with you, and we see it all the time in the National Football League and even in college football. What on earth are you trying to do when you hit somebody that has a helmet on? George McPhee, my good friend, the president of hockey operations for Vegas, was one of the best fighters of his generation in the National Hockey League, and he would show me his knuckles after fights because of hockey helmets, and a hockey helmet is much more pliable than a football helmet. Like hitting a football helmet is like the equivalent of hitting a rock, whereas at least a hockey helmet is hard plastic. It has a tiny bit of give. And I would look at George's hands and I was like, oh my gosh, what are you thinking about? What are you thinking about if you're trying to punch somebody in the head that's wearing a helmet? Like, what are you thinking about? Seriously, like, what is going through your mind? Could you imagine walking up to somebody and hitting them who's got a hard helmet on? I mean, seriously, you're going to, especially, if you're an individual that needs your hands for work. And last time I looked, if you're playing in the NFL, your hands are pretty important, right? You got to catch the ball. You got to tackle. You got to shut off blockers. I mean, you got to do a lot of things. You got to have your hands. Why would you take a chance in injuring your hand? You know how many quarterbacks have had their seasons completely come to a screeching halt because they ruin their thumb? When I mean they ruin their thumb, they injure their thumb because they hit a helmet on a follow-through inadvertently. What are you thinking about? Stupid. And I'm watching, what happened yesterday in the Lions-Washington game. And I'm looking at that. And I'm like, wait a minute. Didn't I just see this 2 or 3 weeks ago after another game, it's stupidity. It's stupidity. It really is. I've never understood that. I've never understood it. What are you thinking? What's going on? By the way, that individual you're talking about for Washington suspended one game. By the way, that's one game without pay. You're a freaking moron. And that's my rant for today. Yeah, you lose a game check on top of that too, Ryan. Not only could you break your hand,
right,
but you lose a game check. You lose 1/17 of your pay.
And these guys only get paid during the work year. It's not like
Correct.
the checks come in year round. So it's a lot of money.
And as far as Brian Kelly, why should he concede on that? I mean, Brian Kelly, the last thing Brian Kelly needs right now is like a lump sum payment because he's already got so much money in the bank. He doesn't know what to do with it. So like if you're Brian Kelly, no, pay me everything, right? I mean, I don't need a lump sum. I want you to pay me everything that you owe me. We had a contract. You fired me, and that's the way it's going to be. Why would you concede?
Because the PR with him is he's unsavory. Like, you're going to sue the university. You've made so much money. Just what you said. You've got a ton of money that you will never spend in your
Well, a contract's
lifetime.
a contract.
I know. I'm just saying it from a PR standpoint, and if you're going to want to get another job, then just work in the middle.
He's going to get another job because there's always a desperate athletic director out there that
Oh,
thinks that he's the guy that's going to make them better. So he's always going to get another job.
No, well, I guess we'll get to hear a new accent. I do have a question about George, and maybe you can explain this to me and some of the listeners that don't know. The hockey fights. So it's a rule, like once the jersey comes over the head, it's done, or if you go to the ground, what's the etiquette there?
The etiquette is when the linesmen feel that one player is in a significant disadvantage where they're defenseless, then they'll try to step in and break up the fight. If you Google, when you get a chance, George McPhee's best fights on YouTube, George was one of the toughest customers at only 5'8", one of the toughest players, and became a fan favorite overnight at Madison Square Garden in the playoffs. He played his first playoff game against the Philadelphia Flyers. His first playoff game was his first ever NHL game. Okay, so he made his debut against the Philadelphia Flyers in the playoffs. And if you look, you should Google his fight with Rick Tocchet.
That's exactly what I'm watching right now.
Right.
He's like half the size.
Yes, right. Rick Tocchet is like so much bigger than George. And Rick Tocchet, still to this day, who's a NHL coach, has a scar under his eye that is still visible. It's kind of shaped like an L from George McPhee. All right. And then it was, and he had several fights with Tocchet. Every time they played, George and Tocchet would go toe to toe. They had some dandies. And George was like a jackhammer. George was the toughest, and I mean this, the toughest little guy that I've ever been around. All right?
You know, it was great when I went to type into YouTube, George McPhee's best, instead of moments, fights came up first.
Is that right?
Yes.
Seriously?
Seriously.
Wow. Do you know that George won the Hobie Baker Award in college, which is the equivalent of the equivalent of the Heisman Trophy. He won the Hobie Baker Award his senior year at Bowling Green.
It's incredible.
Yep.
Well, it seems like college hockey is like a subculture. You don't really see it much on mainstream TV, but like in the Midwest, it's massive with some schools, even some schools that you wouldn't even think of. Like is University of Denver, I want to say, they're a really good hockey powerhouse.
Yeah. Yeah. But if you think about the Ranger fans had never heard of the name George McPhee for all intents and purposes. Okay. and they're playing their rival in the playoffs. And the first 2 games were in Philadelphia. And I told you I drove 10 hours to Madison Square Garden, to New York, to be there for George's debut at MSG.
Mm-hmm.
And they put him on a line with Ron Duguay, who was the most popular Ranger and their best centerman on that team. They put him on the top line as a winger. And in his first game, George won over all of the Rangers fans. You know how we always talk about Kings fans like blue-collar guys that dive and, give all out and everything. That was George for the Rangers, and they literally fell in love with him that night at Madison Square Garden. I watched it happen. It was unbelievable.
Love it.
Yep.
Stuff that you're born with. You're not taught. That's in your heart. It's all you know.
One of the great players in the history of the National Hockey League was Bobby Clark. All right. Bobby Clark was the captain of the Philadelphia Flyers. And Bobby was towards the end of his NHL career during that series. And again, when you look at great players in the history of the hockey, all right, Bobby Clark is on the list. Okay. And Bobby was part of the Broad Street Bullies that won cups in the 70s. He had an amazing, amazing career. Like Bobby Clark, for hockey fans, he was a household name. Everybody knew who Bobby Clark was. All right. He was just phenomenal. All right. He was a phenomenal player. And he joined the Flyers back in 69. So now fast forward to 1982 when George is making his debut in the playoffs. Bobby Clark retired the following year in 83 and 84. Bobby Clark was George's favorite player and was somebody that he respected immensely. And when the Rangers lost to the Flyers in the playoffs, when they had the traditional handshake line, George asked Bobby if he could have his stick. And Bobby said, absolutely. And George walked off the ice with Bobby Clark's hockey stick after that playoff series.
Wow.
And he was the captain of Philly for, I want to say, 6 or 7 years. They won the cup in the mid 70s twice. And he won the MVP, which is the Hart Trophy, I think 3 or 4 times. He's in the Hockey Hall of Fame. And again, he's one of the great players of his generation. And just watching him play was, even though I hated the Flyers, Bobby Clark was always fun to watch because he always played the game the right way.
Yeah, when you're watching something special. Speaking of, by the way, I just sent you an incredible McPhee fight against Dave Brown. He's on top of him.
Yep.
And the refs can't get him off. When they finally get him off, he's tugging at the ref and going after him. But has baseball even started giving out their awards? Have we gotten an update on that?
No. And by the time they do it, nobody will care. Nobody will care. George is unbelievable. I'm watching that. Oh, my God.
Look at this fight.
I know.
You're going to have to repost
it. It brings back memories. So what I did when I worked at the TV station in Decatur, Illinois, I had saved all of George's highlights from the year with the Rangers, goals, assists, and fights. And I saved it all because I had the access to the video at the TV station that I saved. And at the end of the year, I made George a complete review of his year and gave it to him. I think back then it was on a VHS tape. And so, I gave that to him. All of his, everything he did that year in the NHL.
That's pretty special.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. By the way, Ron Duguay was one of the few players that didn't wear a helmet back in that era still, because the helmets were, when they made the rule that you had to wear a helmet, that only applied to players coming in. It was grandfathered in, meaning that if you hadn't yet worn a helmet in your career, when they made helmets mandatory, you didn't have to wear it. He was one of the only players in the league that never wore a helmet.
I did not know hockey was ever played without helmets.
Oh, goalies didn't have masks on.
Stop.
Oh, come on. Go Google Well, I'll give you a goal. All right. Well, just because Eddie Jockman, if you just Google Eddie Jockman in that era, the goalies didn't have masks on. They didn't have masks. Matter of fact, when Gary Cheevers was a goalie, for every time he got hit in the mask, he would put a black mark on it to show how many scars he would have if he didn't have a mask. But yeah, none of the goalies wore masks back then. None of the goalies. None of them. None of the goalies.
Different breed. Different breed,
Yeah.
Grant.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a different era, that's for sure. All right, 916-779-0929 if you want to call the show or text the show. That's 916-779-0929. I love that era of sport. I really do. And I watched some of the great players in the National Hockey League. I watched Bobby Orr play, at Madison Square Garden. I watched Ken Dryden play in goal. I watched Guy Lafleur, the Flower, with the Montreal Canadiens, John Mahovlich, Frank Mahovlich, right? I looked at those. Bob Gainey, watched him play, a great player. And that era was always fun. All right, before we get to the break, why don't we get to a call or two and we say hello to Dave in Elk Grove. Hi, Dave.
Hey, Grant, how you doing, buddy?
What's happening?
Love talking some old school hockey. So I grew up in Buffalo. I'm your Buffalo Bills fan from Elk Grove,
Yep.
but I grew up when we had the French Connection line in Buffalo with
Yeah.
Gilbert Perreault,
Rudy Gobert. I mean, not Rudy.
you remember-
Gobert.
you remember that?
Yep.
Rick Martin and Gilbert
Rick
Perreault.
Martin,
But
yep.
you're talking about the Broad Street Bullies. The Sabres faced the Broad Street Bullies in the Stanley Cup Finals in 1975, back before they had the realignment, and we lost. But the Broad Street Bullies were Bobby Clark, a legend, right?
Yeah. You had Dave Schultz, you had Bill Barber, you had McLeish. I mean, you had Moose DuPont, on the blue line. You had Bernie Parent in goal. Like, when you think about that team with Bobby Clark and Dave Schultz and Bill Barber and McLeish and McCrimmon, and that team was unbelievable.
Well, and the Sabres had Tim Horton, which
Yes.
became the franchise coffee shop in Canada. It was a great time.
That French
grew up in
Connection line was
Buffalo.
great. That French Connection line was great.
Yeah, one of the best ever. But let me just pivot here, Grant, because I've called in a few weeks ago about my beloved Buffalo Bills, and we had a rough day yesterday. But I'm looking at the standings here on ESPN, and it just seems like the NFL is just pretty wide open right now, and there's no clear favorite. Obviously, we're lacking on the defensive side of the ball, and we had a rough game all the way around yesterday. But it doesn't seem like there's any clear favorite in anywhere. I mean, the Seahawks and Rams are both 7-2. Broncos, I'm not 100% sold on at 8-2. What are your thoughts on?
My thoughts are the AFC in particular is wide open, and the team that I'm keeping an eye on right now are the Ravens, who are starting to get momentum. And if they're healthy, they're going to be a handful. Okay, they're going to be a handful when the playoffs start. And you better keep your eye on the Ravens, and you also better keep your eye on them if you have a rematch, because they are going to be trying to make atones for that opening night loss when Henry fumbled. I don't like Buffalo. I don't like Buffalo. You can't. Buffalo's too inconsistent for me. I have no confidence in your Bills. I'm sorry. I don't understand how they can be so good one week and so bad the next week. And that's not a good recipe when you're talking about playoffs. And their defense to me is still an issue.
Well, I think this game against the Dolphins, coming off the big win against Kansas City, was what I would call like a trap game. They
already had trap games. They already had a trap
Yeah.
game. I mean, they you can't use that as an excuse. They know what their goal is this year. Okay, and you can't lose the way they lost to Miami yesterday. That was awful.
No, it was painful to watch.
Yeah, you can't have it. There's no trap games in divisional games. You don't have a trap game within your division. I'm sorry, Dave. That's a bad excuse.
Well, Grant,
and here's the other deal. Miami
years.
almost beat you. They almost beat you in Buffalo. Fourth quarter, if it's not for roughing the penalty, okay, which gave the Bills a first down, and then they scored on that drive. If it had not been for roughing the punter, Miami might have won that game. They had complete control. They were within a score. It was a 3-point game. They had just stopped Buffalo on a 3-and-out. They were going to get the ball back. They were driving, and then they roughed the punter, and that changed the whole fourth quarter around. No, that's not a trap game yesterday.
Well, I agree.
Yep.
Well,
thank you, Dave.
I'll never give up on my Bills, but
no, I hear you. I'm not asking you to give up, but you got to be realistic.
I am.
Thank you, Dave.
All right, my friend. Take care.
Appreciate it. Let's move to Vacaville, and why don't we say hello to Steve? Steve, good afternoon.
Hey, Grant. Yeah, thanks for taking my call. I know you've touched on this in the past, but I thought I would just get it from a different angle, which is, with the advent of the pitchers, the Guardians, they had Clace and Ortiz that were I don't know if they got to the point of being indicted yet, but investigated for their telegraphing pitches and changing them and doing the things they would, even with the telephone calling. I guess the question is, now with the gambling has evolved to the point where it's intra-game betting on things like plays or pitches or things like that. The genie is so far out of the bottle. If you're a commissioner of whatever league, how on earth are you going to be able to retain the integrity of your product? Because it just seems to me that like it's going to be incredibly difficult to control, and that's going to work its way even to the college ranks, because as these kids see their other compatriots getting all these NIL deals with so much money, and they know there's a whole ton of money out there, where do you see the end game with this going? How and if you're a commissioner for one of these sports, what would you do to try to put the genie back in the bottle to maintain the integrity?
Well, the one thing you want to try to do is eliminate prop bets, because most of these issues involve prop bets. But that's a ton of money that these sports books are making. They make a ton of money on prop bets. Casinos make a lot of prop bets. And I would think, Ryan just helped me out here with this, federal legislation may come in on this, you may see new legislation as it relates to sports betting.
Well, I guess the question is, and it's probably come down, because I'm just trying to figure out what kind of leverage does, say, the NFL have over, the gambling community. I'm not sure they have much of anything. I mean, I guess they could do things where they wouldn't broadcast games and sports books and things like that, but
that's never going to happen.
Make a
that's
small
never going to happen.
Yeah. So, but I, as a fan, you start to wonder. I mean, and it's always been. I get it when there's a controversial call at the end of a game. It's a close game, and it's always thrown rigged or what have you. And I know the NBA went through, some of that issues with that. I can't remember the name of the ref. That was
Tim Donaghy.
Back in the days of, where he got caught up in that mess. But I just worry about the future of the sport. And I just hope at some point, I don't know, maybe you're right. Maybe that's at the end of the day, it's got to be the legislation. But, thanks for musing about that with me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Steve. Have a good afternoon. Take care. All right, we'll come back. More of your phone calls and text messages at 916-779-0929. This is Fox Sports Sacramento.
Fox Sports traffic as we take another look at the roadways. Heavy rush hour delays throughout all of Sacramento, especially on US 50 and the Cap City Freeway. Give yourself that extra time. Got a traffic hazard I-5 southbound off-ramp to J Street in South Sacramento trying to be wrapped up, and defective traffic signals at Douglas Boulevard and Auburn Folsom Road in Auburn. Give yourself a couple of extra minutes to work your way through that intersection. With twice-an-hour traffic, I'm Andy Bass for Fox Sports Sacramento.
Traffic brought to you by Gabroods Electrical. Homeowners, for any electrical project you need done, trust the good dudes at Gabroods. Locally owned, 5-star service experts, and always transparent prices and solutions. Say goodbye to your electrical issues with Gabroods. GUBRUDS.com.
The NBA season's rolling, and DraftKings' newest game, Pick 6, is the easiest way to play for your shot at big wins. NBA stars are lighting it up. Now their numbers aren't just highlights. They're your shot to cash in. Here's how it works. Just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats. The better your picks, the bigger your payout. New DraftKings customers get $50 in Pick 6 credits with just a $5 entry on your first pick set. Don't just watch basketball. Pick, play, cash in. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code KSAC. That's code KSAC. Play just $5 and get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Make the call. Ride the upside in partnership with DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Void where prohibited. One per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Ends December 2nd at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Hi, it's Margot from Bennett's Restaurants. The holidays may feel far away, but the best dates are filling fast. At Bennett's, we make every celebration effortless. Host your holiday parties in our elegant private dining rooms, or let us bring the chef-crafted catering right into your home or office. From family dinners to company parties, our team delivers the flavors, service, and holiday magic your guests will remember. Secure your holiday celebration today with Bennett's at bennettsrestaurants.com.
Looking for the ultimate night out? Welcome to HQ Showgirls, Sacramento's premier adult gentlemen's club. We're the only topless club between Reno and San Francisco serving alcohol, beer, wine, and champagne. All inside over 6,000 square feet of pure excitement. Planning a party or a VIP night? Call our VIP manager now at 916-389-0199 to book your table. Come experience the energy at HQ Showgirls, 851 Richards Boulevard, Sacramento. Open 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. Sunday through Thursday and until 4 a.m. Friday and Saturday. Visit hqnightclub.com, where the night begins and never stops.
Snakes, zombies, public speaking. The list of fears is endless. But the real danger is in your hand when you're behind the wheel. Distracted driving is what's really scary and even deadly. Eyes forward, don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Don't forget Kings and Nuggets tomorrow. We'll have the post-game show late. It's a late start tomorrow, Rhino. Late game.
8 p.m.
Yeah. So our show won't get going until about roughly 10:15, 10:30, which means we may not have Jerry Reynolds on our post-game show tomorrow. That's beyond Jerry's, right?
Well,
bedtime.
maybe he'll tweak his routine and get a little extra nap in. But here's the thing. If you stay up to watch the game, you might as well stay up the extra hour.
Yeah, absolutely.
For the post-game.
All right. So what about federal legislation? And what about prop bets? Because the sports books, they make a fortune off prop bets.
That's what's paying for, if you look at many of these companies, even here in California, where sports gambling's illegal, it's not over or under, it's more or less. That's where DraftKings has got around it. It's chasing, right, Grant? Because if you're betting just the game in the line, there's nothing you can do unless you're going to take a halftime bet where the line changes based on the first half. You know, you're not going to be chasing that bet with in-game bets because there's not going to be a game to bet on once that game ends. So the cat, as Steve said, is so far out of the bag that Adam Silver was begging the feds to come in and, you know, say, we need something that mitigates the props. And as far as the over-unders, I think it's really one thing you can do if you're going to keep them. It can only be an over. It can't be an under.
You know, it's interesting to see what's going to happen. And, you know, another big controversy in sports right now has to do with the tush push.
Yeah.
And the Eagles just did a tush push. And almost every time they run that play, they have a false start and it's not called. And the game between Green Bay and Philadelphia that just had the tush push, the left guard for Philadelphia moved so far in front of the snap that it was obvious, and yet they didn't call it. It's amazing to me how a linesman in the National Football League, who, by the way, has been alerted to the fact that there's false starts on this particular play, can miss one of that magnitude. It's inexcusable to me. I mean, this one wasn't even close. I mean, they showed it on the replay. It's not even close. Now, I know that the replay is going in a very super slow motion, but you know, you got to get that right if you're the linesman. You can't allow that.
Or you need to adjust your positioning if they're going to run that play. If you need a better angle, a closer angle, you know what's coming. There's not
Yeah,
a
get closer to the ball. I'm
Yeah,
with you.
there's not a variation to it, or at least Philly has not shown one yet. And here's the other thing, Grant. If you notice, the linemen get down on all fours.
Yes.
They are literally bear crawling.
Yes. Yep. So just frustrating. Again, the game is in Green Bay. Eagles and the Packers, they are scoreless. Speaking of NFL, your Seahawks, who I've been on board with from day one, this game coming up Sunday in LA is going to be an absolute dandy. It's going to be a heck of a game.
I think it's going to be Seattle South. That's what it's going to be. There's going to be a lot of 12s that make the trip.
Agreed.
Jackson Smith and Jigba is on pace to break the receiving yards record.
He's really good.
He has been really good.
It's going to be a low-scoring game, I would think. I don't see both offenses going off here. I think with the defense of the Rams and the defense of the Seahawks and the way the Seahawks want to do ball control, I could see this score being a little bit lower.
Yeah, completely with you. I don't see the ball bouncing twice to Lawrence, just right in his hands.
No, I don't either. I think it's going to be a really, really close game, and I'm with you. There will be more Seahawks fans there than Rams fans. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
And if I'm the Rams, I am preparing as if I am playing in Seattle because the Seahawks fans make a ton of noise.
Oh, yeah.
One of the loudest stadiums in the NFL.
No question about that. You are absolutely correct. Again, if you want to get in on the program, 916-779-0929. How many fights have you seen now of Georgie on there?
I've only watched 3, but I'm going to be watching more tonight.
Yeah, pretty
He's
amazing,
got me interesting. He's got a great head of hair, too.
Yeah, tough customer, huh? Tough guy.
I love when small guys are like that. You know my affinity for Rudy and stories like that. That's right up my alley.
Yeah, definitely. He is always outworked everyone else in his life, both on the ice and in the classroom. I mean, and that's the truth. You know, he went to law school and he then went into hockey management after he retired. Like he's a go-getter, man. He's a go-getter.
How are they doing?
Graduated with a degree that was very important to him while he was playing Division I hockey, was in the library all the time. No, I'm serious.
No, I know. I love it. That's why I'm laughing. How are they doing this year, Vegas?
Very good. They have a couple of injuries right now, but they're one of the top teams in the conference. So they're good. They're really good. They're a really good team.
It's on the short list of things to do. I want to go see an NHL hockey game.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Definitely. You should do it.
Got to do it.
All right. Again, 916-779-0929 right here on Fox Sports Sacramento. We will be talking a lot tomorrow about the Kings and the Nuggets. We'll reflect back on tonight's Monday night game. Sean Salisbury is going to be coming on the show during the 5 o'clock hour, and then we'll get the updated injury report. But right now, I don't think it's going to impact the game from Denver's perspective, as their official injury report as of today. They have 2 players, Murray and Gordon, that are both probable. So probable a day before the game is a really good sign. Denver is in Sacramento, or flying to Sacramento currently to get ready for the game tomorrow. And again, they have not played since Saturday, so they will be a very well-rested team. The Atlanta Hawks are playing tonight in L.A. against the Clippers. They will also be in Sacramento while the Kings are playing tomorrow night. So 3 games in 4 nights for Sacramento. And they better figure out a way to win at least one of these games before they head out onto the road trip, which begins in Minnesota, because it is going to be a very, very difficult report. Rano, you got the updated Sacramento injury report for us?
Yeah, Domantas Sabonis is listed as questionable. Okay,
why is he in the game in the fourth quarter last night?
Shouldn't have been.
Right. I mean, it makes no sense. No sense at all.
That was probably part of his frustration and body language last night at the podium.
Yeah, of course. You can't blame him. I mean, with 5 minutes left, first of all, he shouldn't even have been on the floor at any point in the fourth quarter. But with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, he's still on the floor. And I'm like, what is going on? Why is he on the floor? Makes no sense to me.
Yeah, game's out of control, and you're only going to get him more beat up. And he was, I think, from the first quarter starting to grimace.
Yes. Makes
back.
No sense.
Yeah.
No sense. All right, we'll come back. We'll wrap up the show. Final segment right here on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Fox Sports Traffic as we take one final look at the roadways for this Monday evening. We are very busy throughout the area. US 50 eastbound at Prairie City Road, 2 left lanes are blocked off with an accident, and you got backups pretty much until Hazel Avenue. So give yourself that extra time to work your way through there. Cap City Freeway, US 50 and I-5 dealing with some heavy rush hour delays through there. So give yourself extra time. With twice an hour traffic, I'm Andy Bass for Fox Sports Sacramento.
Hey, it's Grant Napear for Village Financial Group. I have known broker owner Spencer Grimmenstein for 25 years, ever since he began his family-owned business. Whether it's a home equity line of credit or buying or selling a home, Spencer is a very creative financing specialist with access to private money. Check out Village Financial Group at vfgloans.com or call Spencer at 916-805-4868. Be sure and call for the investor special. And if you go to their website, vfgloans.com, you can find over 9,000 properties available for purchase. Folks, Spencer is awesome. Trust me. Again, I've known the guy since 2000. It makes sense to call Spence at 916-805-4868. Village Financial Group, looking out for your best interest. Call 916-805-4868.
The holidays can be a time of increased stress for those struggling with opioid or stimulant addiction. They can also be a time for pause, reflection, opportunity, and new beginnings. This holiday season, choose treatment and recovery. Embrace the company of family and friends, and create special moments. Find a proven opioid or stimulant addiction treatment provider near you at choosechangeca.org.
Tired of the same old routine? Need a place where the beer flows and the good times roll? Then head to Fieldhouse American Sports Pub, 1833 Fulton Avenue. Family owned and operated, so you know you'll feel right at home. Catch all your favorite games on 18 big screens while enjoying amazing food. And with 28 beers on tap, you're sure to find something you love. And don't miss everyday happy hour from 3 to 7 and again from 10 till close. Looking for more than just the game? Trivia Tuesday starts at 7 p.m. And there's Mario Kart and bingo nights for even more fun, too. There's always a blast happening at Fieldhouse. Whether you're looking for a place to watch the game, grab a bite with the family, or just unwind with friends, Fieldhouse is the place to be. Fieldhouse American Sports Pub, 1833 Fulton Avenue. Bring it to the house.
At Downtown Ford Sacramento, we're proud of our long heritage. We've consistently provided Ford cars and trucks to families and businesses in this region for over 100 years. If we think about it, practically every kid who grew up in this town at one time or another rode around in a Ford that we sold to their family. We've served multiple generations of local farmers and ranchers who got their rugged Ford trucks from us. We've also provided many of the emergency vehicles that you see out doing the people's work every day on the streets. All of us at Downtown Ford, from our top-notch service department who keep your Ford running like new, to our dedicated finance team and the guys and gals in our showroom, we thank you for generations of love and loyalty to us. And for that love, we say right back at you. We're doing Fords just like we always have. Come see us any day of the week or visit us online at downtownfordsacramento.com.
Final segment on a busy Monday. No score. First quarter up at Lambeau. Packers and the Eagles. Kings tomorrow taking on the Denver Nuggets. So, Rhino, the last time the Kings played the Nuggets a couple of nights ago in Denver, we both thought that the most difficult matchup without Keegan Murray and the lineup that the Kings were putting out on the floor was going to be Aaron Gordon. Now you have, again, a new player in Precious Achiuwa, and Precious we should be able to at least guard him somewhat, but I don't think he's going to be able to, contain Aaron Gordon enough. We saw what the Joker did when he was in the game. It's like whenever he was in the game, it was like, here come the Denver Nuggets going on a run. So what do you look as the key matchup here tomorrow night?
It is the Aaron Gordon Achua matchup, and it's one of those where Achua can win it if he hits first and he makes it physical. But Gordon, if he's slipping by, if he's going back door and Achua is not aware of man and ball, then it's going to be a big night for Aaron Gordon.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if he wins the matchup. I don't see that being I think he could make it more formidable than what we saw last week. The athleticism of Denver would concern me on the wings. Jamal Murray would concern me. You got to remember, Denver did not shoot the ball well last week from three, and that has been a real issue for Sacramento. Foul trouble is going to be something you got to keep your eye on with Gordon and Nikola Jokic. And again, this is going to be a very well-rested team in Denver. They haven't played since Saturday, so keep that in mind.
You know, if Sabonis, and he's questionable, ends up playing, it's not a terrible time to play Jokic. If Jokic plays like he did last game, a lot more on the perimeter, so Domas isn't bumping and banging as much as he would against a big that's going to be like a Bam Adebayo or somebody like that. But the other guy, Grant, that I'll ask you is Christian Brown. That one is a little bit of a mystery to me. The Kings didn't really have much of an answer for him last game.
No, they did not. NBA tonight, Lakers are in Charlotte. They lead by 15, 89-74, 2:25 left in the third. Detroit, who's been playing very well, top of the East, they're down 3 at home against the Wizards, 85-82. Magic 76, Portland 69. That's in the world of Disney, with 4:40 left to go in the third. Heat are on top of the Cavs by 5, 2 minutes left to go in a half in South Florida. Spurs are in Chicago. Very interesting matchup, 41-35 San Antonio with 8 minutes left to go in the second. Bucks and Mavs just underway in a little bit. Pelicans Suns. Minnesota is taking on the Jazz in Utah, and the Hawks will be in town here in 2 nights from now. All right, on Wednesday night, they're in L.A. taking on the Clippers. That game tonight at 7:30. That is your NBA scoreboard in this Monday night, going head-to-head with the National Football League. The game, by the way, with Detroit, they're off to an 8-2 start. All right? They are really playing well at 8-2, and they look to me to be like a team that's going to be right there messing around with everyone in the Eastern Conference. They're going to be right there.
There's always a surprise or two. And, look at how the playoffs ended last year for them.
Yeah.
With the call in New York, they played them tough. So not a major surprise. De'Aaron Fox is in his second game back for the Spurs. He looked really good on Saturday night, made some of the mistakes you would expect, but it was the more aggressive, speed-based De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah, and right now in the game that they're leading Chicago 45-38. Fox has played 13 minutes, and he has 9 points in 13 minutes of work. I'm looking at his numbers right now. 3 of 5 floor, 1 of 3 from downtown. It's been to the line twice, made him. Also has turned the ball over 2 times with 1 assist. Again, it is 45-41. Victor Wembanyama in the 9 minutes of work has 9 points for the Spurs. But again, 45-41. So now they look like this. They have Castle, Vassell, Fox, Wembanyama, and Barnes. So a very good starting 5 for the San Antonio Spurs.
Really interesting. Bobby Marks put out he's called it his all-star team of expiring contracts. Harrison Barnes is listed as one of them.
Yeah. I don't know any team that would not want Harrison Barnes. I would want Harrison Barnes, and if I owned a team, he'd be a guy I'd go after all the time. Love Harrison Barnes.
Just a glue guy.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's tremendous with the young players and all the players in the locker room. So here's my big question. As we get towards Thanksgiving and December, are the Lakers, who are off to a really good start at 7-3, they're going to go to 8-3 tonight, barring a really unforeseen comeback, but I'm going to already call the game, up 93-77 with 40 seconds left to go in the third quarter. You have Reeves tonight, 19 minutes, all right? Or excuse me, 20 minutes, 19 points, 5 assists. So far, you got Luka tonight, 28 points in 28 minutes. You have DeAndre Ayton, who is really playing pretty well for the Lakers. Rui Hachimura, for the most part, playing pretty well. Marcus Smart seems to get better and better with everything he's been going through. What's going to happen to this team when LeBron James comes back?
I think LeBron will fit in. He can do the scoring when he needs to, and we've seen that he can be effective passive when he takes that approach to the game. I think the bigger question, Grant, to me is, can this team stay healthy when the playoffs roll around?
Great question. That is the key for the LA Lakers. Then you have the Suns tonight. They're 5-5. You know, did you see Jalen Green injured his hamstring again?
No, I did. No, you know what?
Yeah.
I did. Now that you said that, I did.
Yeah. And I'm wondering, you know, if this is going to be a real issue for him for the whole year, because he missed the first several weeks of the season after re-aggravating it on the trip over to China and Macau. So Jalen Green's out, right? I mean, he's not playing.
Yeah.
And so I wonder how long he's going to be out now with that hamstring again, because he played really, really, really well in his first game back.
Really interesting. Last night before the game, I was talking to a Western Conference scout for a team that is towards the bottom of the West, and they were there to check out some of the Kings guards. So I wonder if those two things could be connected.
Could very well be. Could very well be. I know if they were there to scout Keon Ellis, they made a wasted trip.
Yeah, right. They're thinking, no way that Doug's going to leave him on the bench till the fourth quarter again. Ant's in town.
Unbelievable. Incredible. That's the way it went last night, and we'll see. I can't imagine anything changing tomorrow. You know, Westbrook's going to play a lot of minutes against his former team. He didn't play well last night, but I would think, and, you know, we talk about Westbrook and we talk about Sabonis, who, you know, again, I didn't understand him being on the floor. If I felt that Sabonis was iffy for the game tomorrow night, I would just hold him out for the next game, because you really need to win one of these next two games. And I think you get a better chance of beating Atlanta than Denver.
Well, Atlanta won on Saturday night. They looked really good. Or was it last night?
They did look good. And listen, they're not chopped liver. Even I think without Trae Young, everyone likes, you know, Trae Young is a ball-dominant player. And guys like that are not always easy to play with.
Yes, you nailed it. You nailed it. The other guys look forward to it sometimes.
Yes, because they know they're going to be part of the game. They know that they're going to have their hand on the ball. So yeah, it's sometimes it can really help out your team. It can really help out the team.
You know, Drew Eubanks has been a surprise for the Kings this year. I did not expect him to be as athletic as he's shown. So if you have him on the floor for Sabonis, I don't have a problem with it. But I'll kick this to you. If there was going to be a game that you would start Westbrook at the point guard instead of Schroeder, wouldn't it be against Denver?
Yeah, but they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. You even heard Doug answer his question last night about Schroeder. He defended him and said, "Oh, you know, he might be a little gimpy." And then, you know, he's always making excuses for
why
Dennis
do you
Schroeder.
do that? Why do you do that?
I don't know, but he did it.
If he's gimpy, why isn't he on the injury report?
Well, again, you know, I understand that. Unless he's talking about gimpy last night because of what happened when he clearly stepped on a foot and was on the ground for a while on the court. Maybe he was referring to gimpy last night as opposed to gimpy leading up to last night.
Well,
so,
I'm not so sure. You remember the last preseason game when his foot got stepped on by DeAndre Ayton's?
Yeah, but I'm watching Dennis Schroeder play, and he's moving laterally. He's backpedaling. Like, I'm sorry, he looked fine to me in terms of his physical aspects of his game. He's not just playing well. Plain and simple, he's not playing well. And they're not going to take him out of the starting lineup because, again, that's going to look really bad for Scott Perry.
Yeah, I respect Dennis owning it, but you've got to see, and it's funny to say, second half Schroeder. You got to see that in the first half right off the bat. Because one thing that's going to happen is if this team continues to get out to slow starts and then they see the bench unit come in and now all of a sudden it's entertaining basketball, there's going to start to be boos early on when this team falls behind. And I don't want to see that, but just as you saw last night with the fans, Grant, I don't remember the last time a Kings fan base chanted for a player because the coach hadn't played them. Do you recall that in 32 years?
No. I remember fans chanting for a player who's like a fan favorite, who's at the end of a game, and they want to see him play, but it had nothing to do with the fact that he should be playing. They just, again, it's more of we really want to see that guy play because we love him. But no, last night was a chant of wake up and put Keon Ellis into the game. So you were at the game. I mean, we could hear it over TV. It was basically the whole arena, was it not?
It was about 3/4 of the arena, but the arena was not full.
No, I know. Well, that's going to happen a lot now if this team continues to lose.
Yeah, there were as one caller said earlier, there were a decent amount of gray chairs.
Yeah. Now, in all fairness, it's a Sunday, and you're going head to head with the late games in the NFL in terms of people planning their getting to the game and blah blah blah, and then the Sunday night game. I mean, that it's not the best of worlds, but there were a lot of empty seats last night. Absolutely.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see as Denver rolls in on Monday night, tomorrow night. If it's full, because it is national TV. It's the first time the Kings have been on NBC since 2002.
Yeah, but it's the first time NBC's televised basketball in a long time.
I know, but it's still there's something nostalgic about that.
If they play poorly in the first half, they'll get booed. Right? I mean, if they get off to a bad start tomorrow, the fans are going to boo them, and they should boo them because, we keep on hearing all of this stuff coming out of the locker room and, blah, 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 blah. Well, talk is cheap, right? Show me. Don't tell me. Show me.
It's a bad look. Now, like, if Doug doesn't play Keon and the game's not going well on national TV, if that were to happen again, the day that the national reporters will have.
Oh, boy.
On Wednesday.
Wow.
Will be insane.
You think the game will be close tomorrow?
I think Denver will get a little bit of a lead. I think the Kings will chip away at it, probably be down 7-8 at halftime, and the third quarter is going to be where it matters. That's where it can stay close or it's going to get blown out, but I think that'll be the quarter that decides the game.
If Jokic and Gordon are not defended better than they were last week, I think the Kings have no chance of winning this game.
Curious to see what the spread is at for this game tomorrow already. Let's check.
And we need the real Zach LaVine tomorrow. He's been a little stagnant the last 2 games. Agreed?
I wouldn't say it's been his fault, though. It's been clunky with the spacing. It's been clunky where they've been getting into their offense. I think Zach is trying to make the best out of an awkward offensive system because he is razor sharp right now from the field and trying to get to the lane. He had a 2-handed dunk last night out of the blue.
Yeah. Don't forget tomorrow, even though we'll be a late show, we'll be on YouTube. Speaking of YouTube, I will be on after Monday Night Football with the Eagles and the Green Bay Packers. So we can talk about this game and talk about the NBA. We can talk about the Kings. Anything else that's going to be coming up on my show tonight. And again, that is right after Monday Night Football. Sean Salisbury also on the show tomorrow to talk about college and the NFL. I hope you have a great evening. Don't forget, if you missed my opening rant that lasted about 20 minutes, you can hear it next as we replay the first hour of the show. No score still at Lambeau, Eagles and Packers in quarter number 2. And again, I'll be on right after the game, YouTube, if you don't like that. You take care, everyone. Appreciate you. Talk to you tomorrow, 3 o'clock, right here on Fox Sports Sacramento. Bye-bye. The NBA season's rolling, and DraftKings' newest game, Pick 6, is the easiest way to play for your shot at big wins. NBA stars are lining it up now. Here's how it works. Just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats. The better your picks, the bigger your payout. New DraftKings customers get $50 in Pick 6 credits with just a $5 entry on your first pick set. Don't just watch basketball. Pick, play, cash in. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code KSAC. That's code KSAC. Play just $5 and get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Make the call, ride the upside in partnership with DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Void where prohibited. One per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Ends December 2nd at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
The holidays can be a time of increased stress for those struggling with opioid or stimulant use disorder.